old today.
Why do you feel old today, Kaz?
Because a younger coworker and I were talking, and I found
Oh, that's
out,
always a recipe for disaster.
I found out that they had no idea who Hansen was. Someone said, you resemble one of the younger brothers from Hansen, and they had a look on their face like...
We don't know who that is.
We didn't know who we were talking about, so I had to explain that Hansen is a band from the late 90s known for one hit. They are a one-hit wonder, and when I said the phrase one-hit wonder, my coworker responded, "Oh, you mean like Genesis?"
Oh, no!
Yes, famed band Genesis.
That only had one good song.
The band that spearheaded the solo careers of both Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins. Yes, is what I said. Yes.
So you're just living in a land of confusion right now, aren't you?
Well done.
Yeah.
That's the song. That's the one.
That's the one-hit wonder
from Genesis. To be fair, I don't know if I could name a ton of Genesis hits off the top of my head. But anyway, before we get into the episode,
you can certainly name a little bit more than that dopey snot-nosed kid who didn't know who Hanson were.
My coworker is a lovely person.
Really?
They don't.
You're not selling them on me so
they're
far.
Young, you know. And the youth, the ignorance.
The kids
of
are
youth,
all right. Gotcha.
From the mouths of babes, etc., etc. We need to talk about. We have so much on the docket
yes,
today.
We do.
We can't. We
were
need
saying
to talk
we should
about.
Keep, we should keep this concise.
We need to keep this concise. So, without any further ado, I just have two brief points that I need to make about Mario Odyssey. There are just two things that need to be said about it.
So long as it's on everyone's mind.
If we can't think of any way to open the shows, open episodes, this is going to be my fallback. Me telling everyone my progress through a game that is now 5 years old at this point.
If we can't think of a way to open this.
It's been out for a while. Everyone
you can always ask me, how do you want to open this?
Well, that's because
it'll always be the same. Welcome back to the show.
I took the bull by the horns, and now I'm riding out into the sunset. Anyway.
Any thoughts on Mario Odyssey, Kaz?
I have two thoughts on Mario Odyssey. One, I have an amendment that I have to make. On a previous episode, on our Real Macaw episode, I brazenly made a statement that I have to take back now. I said I made the boast that I had been playing a lot of Mario Odyssey and I had 100%ed New Donk City. New information has come to light since that episode was recorded. Turns out I was mistaken. There are certain moons, it turns out, that you can only get after you have completed the game. And, in fact, as I was doing even more research on this subject, I found out that one of the moons that you get in New Donk City is jumping rope 100 times in that jump rope minigame. So I have not 100% in New Donk City, and in fact, I will not 100% New Donk City, because there's no way I'm ever going to do that. I haven't even gotten the 30 jump moon yet, so that's not happening. So if there's any listeners out there who are avid gamers and are thinking that, oh man, Kaz's gamer bona fides are fucking legit, fucking 100% New Donk.
All smoke and mirrors.
I just need to. I need to.
You
make
were
this
so
now.
high and mighty about yourself.
This is full transparency. The podcast is what this is. So yes, I just want to say no. I'm not that good. I'm not that good, and I shan't let you down again. The other brief thing that I wanted to quickly say about Mario Odyssey is I was playing this couple days ago, and I was trying to get this one moon that required me to do several long jumps in a row. I had to do several long jumps, and for some reason, I couldn't do it. I was putting in the button inputs for the long jump, and I kept doing the butt stomp, and it was really annoying me, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And then I had a little light bulb moment, and what I did was I disconnected my third-party Mad Catz controller, and I connected the official Nintendo Switch game controller, and then, lo and behold, I could do the long jump no problem. So I just wanted to make a brief statement. If you're playing Mario Odyssey, do not use a third-party controller. Use those for their intended purposes, which is, of course, piloting small submarines. Hey, there we go. That's a reference that's still topical.
Yeah.
That's on everyone's
certainly won't date the episode
currently right now.
Well, that was a nice 5-minute intro talking about your trials and tribulations of a 6-year-old game and tying it with a very topical, timely submarine accident.
Also, Jameson got shingles because he's always riding my coattails.
It looks so much fun.
He's always he did. He texted me. He said, "Cass, I'm thinking about getting shingles." shingles. And I said, I don't know, man. There's been like a month of shingles talk about me talking about how gnarly my shingles were. I think maybe the listenership is a little tired of that. And then lo and behold, he just went and got them. Just didn't even take my feelings into account.
Didn't even ask you.
Just
really.
always
kind of went behind your back.
Always gotta copy me. How you doing, buddy?
Fine.
Yeah.
It was a rough week, but listened to the doctor. I got plenty of rest. I was super fatigued for 3 days straight there. But, by virtue of still working from home, I never really lost my stride. Fucking if COVID wasn't going to stop me, shingles isn't going to stop me, what else are you going to throw at me, universe? Don't answer that.
Yeah, that's fine, universe. Take a week off. You know what, universe? Here's a coupon. It's 2 for 1.
Stop trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Please.
He has to come here and host a podcast with me, so don't kill Jameson. And what is this podcast? Well, it's Nothing Movies, where we go through an actor's filmography and choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something or if they're just a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
And welcome back, however you wish to self-identify. You thought I forgot, but I didn't. I said the first thing last and the last thing first. I don't fucking know.
No.
I'm Kaz. I'm Kaz Lasgard.
I'm Jameson.
And normally we talk about an actor and we talk about a movie, but today's a little bit different because...
It's a special commemorative look back at our last 50 movies.
Before we move forward, we're looking back.
Yeah.
We did it, Jameson.
We did.
This is in the aftermath of releasing our 100th episode. We've talked about 100 goddamn movies.
It's so funny. It feels like the first 50 that we did took so much longer to get to, but this recent 50, since we did that Nailed episode...
Well, because we're better at it. We're more professional now. I don't take nearly as long editing these to get these out. We don't have to deal with. We're not doing like Zoom records or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's
what
bit us in the ass. Was trying to
probably
edit
what it
all
was.
Of that together. That was right in the midst of that when we did our last 50. But yes, we've done this before. We reviewed 50 movies, and then we did a couple of bonus episodes where we looked back on those 50 movies and we comprised them into a list. And that episode famously was 4.5 hours, and we split it into 2 parts, and by the end of the first part, we literally had to split it into 2 parts, not because it was running long, but because I literally lost my voice in the recording. You start off at the beginning of the recording, and by the end of it, I sounded like Gollum. I couldn't do it anymore.
And it was like us trying to figure out the new format of like, okay, well, let's together combine our opinions on this and decide where these 50 are going to go in an official ranking. We're going to do things a little bit differently this go around, where we're both coming to the table with our own list of 50 movies.
That's right. We've each taken the next 50 movies. So this is starting after the last movie that we added to the last 50 was Accidental Love / Nailed. So this was the next 50 movies that we watched, and Jameson and I have both written down our top 50, and neither of us know what our lists are. So this is going to be a bit of a surprise.
And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to each say where they are numerically in our own list. But when it comes time to talk about the movies, we're just going to go off your list. Okay?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, we have not talked about this. I was going to ask before we started if you wanted to alternate. If you wanted, if I said if I started off with my 50, and then you said your 50,
if we had already had a discussion of it, we just kind of jump up the list.
Yeah, and then you flip over, you start with 49, and I start with 49. Right. But we can.
These are the kind of discussions that we promised we weren't going to do this go around.
Nope,
so to keep
on
this
mic,
being under 4 hours.
It'll be under 4 hours.
Yeah. All right.
I'm aiming for 2.5. No, it'll be shorter than that.
Yeah.
But largely because, certainly when we get to like the middle chunk of my list, I don't have a ton to say about some of these movies. The interesting thing about looking back on these past 50 episodes that we have done, we've reviewed a lot more kind of movies this time around. I feel like the last 50, it alternated wildly between one of the worst things I've ever seen to, holy crap, there's actually something in this. This time we're kind of like a little more middle of the road. So I actually don't have much to say about 15 or so of these. I have like one sentence kind of like written down.
I wrote down a couple of blurbs that I just wanted to get my initial thoughts out of something. But I think, as we get to the middle of the pack, there's going to be a lot of like, it's not great, or it's good, it's fine. Yeah, and if you're going to see a lot of that. There's one movie in particular that I'm going to say right now is quite high on my list, but and I think you know which one it is.
I have
what?
some thoughts. I have some thoughts, and I'm excited to see how our lists pair up, and I'm excited to see where they differ wildly. I have a few ideas where I think we're probably going to line up. One thing that we should say before we get into this is that, as we have invoked many a time on this podcast before, the name of the podcast used to be The Fuck Is This? 2022, we changed it to Nothing Movies, changed the format slightly, but it is, for all intents and purposes, the exact same show. So what we are doing is we are combining the last 20 or so episodes of The Fuck Is This with, I believe, we've done 36 episodes of Nothing Movies.
Something like that.
Something around that. So we're combining the two. Some of you might be wondering, boys, why didn't you make two lists? Why didn't you list all of the Fuck Is This movies and then make a list of the Nothing movies? And the reason for that is didn't feel like it. Didn't want to.
And that just crossed my mind, and I just figured, it's nice looking back at 50. 50 is a nice solid number.
And also didn't feel like it. So should we?
Sure. Yeah.
Is there any other business?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any kind of housekeeping that we need to.
Okay. So do you want me to begin?
Well, I'll just tell you what's at the very bottom of my list.
Okay. So I am more confident probably here than anywhere else that our bottom two are the same two movies, because we made the last list. We made like the first 50 where we ranked and scored the movies that we watched. And then immediately after that episode was over,
you were like, this is the worst thing we've ever
watched. We watched the two worst movies that we have watched on the podcast, and frankly, we have not beaten that.
It's funny. You might very well be right on this, but I will say that, like, in coming up with this list, I thought was quite interesting in that I would say that probably the bottom 5 of my list are mostly interchangeable, and I had to find some justification to order them in the way they would be. I will say, though, I did come to the realization that if I were just tearing a movie apart for reasons that I thought were like very annoying or offensive to my sensibilities, somehow that ranked a little bit higher over something that I would consider boring, because it elicited a genuine reaction out of me.
Absolutely. That's always the way. I always choose a catastrophe over just a ho-hum. Oh, that was a real waste of my time.
Yeah,
exactly. But why don't you go ahead and tell us what your number 50 spot is?
All right. Coming at number 50, the way at the bottom would be The Bronx Executioner.
Oh, okay. So already we are not lining up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that we would get the same bottom two, but
it can be found.
As you just explained, that actually does make sense, and I guess I went the opposite route. Because for my number 50, I have chosen easily the most offensive thing we've ever covered on this podcast, and that would be the film Just Another Romantic Wrestling Comedy. That's dead last for me. Dead last with a bullet.
You get no argument from me on that. That is a tasteless movie. And boy, you know what? A lot of the comedy from that just is reliant on these worn out stereotypes. It's not so much that it's intentionally offensive, but it's that these are well established. It is certainly that, but it's also like, these are offensive, but they're also offensive jokes that we've all heard of already, and that is not really a good excuse for a character or a storyline for someone.
Yeah, and it also just looked like absolute dog shit, and it had horrible bargain basement CGI in it, and and it just screamed of something. The thing that was the biggest problem with it is that clearly the people who made it thought that they were hilarious.
Yes.
And the only good thing to come out of that is the amazing website that I forgot to check to see if it's still up, but I have to imagine it must still be up. So
the person who put that together seemed like they had some money, so I'm sure they're keeping that
every year. They're renewing the link that they have to do.
But it was terrible.
Yes.
that's the easy.
I think it's the worst thing we have ever covered.
All right.
So your 49 is?
My number 49 is The Villain.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, our list is going to be different.
Wildly different.
Tell our list is going to be wildly different.
I mean, Just Another Romantic. It jumped from the bottom spot to yours. So, but
my number 49 is The Mystical Adventures of Billy Owens.
Yep.
which was the episode that we recorded immediately after we did our top 50, and I didn't think at the time we could watch a movie that was worse than that, but then 2 episodes later, we did in fact watch a movie that was worse than that.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the most amateurish Harry Potter ripoff ever. It looked like it had a budget of $20.
Oh, it looked like a cheap fucking movie.
Roddy Piper was going around kissing everybody.
Yeah.
Really shouldn't have done that.
That's the fascinating thing about that movie, and what set it apart from being at like the real bottom rung of my list is that I want to know about the production about this sort of thing. How did they turn this little stupid script that apparently had 7 people have a hand in it, and then they swindled an entire town, it looks like, to make this kid's movie?
This movie
and
is
also it
entirely...
got Rowdy Roddy Piper to appear in it.
I mean, near the end of his life, I think Roddy Piper said yes to a lot of stuff.
Oh man, I'm thinking like, did he have like a vacation home there? Did he have relatives in that town? And someone just said, hey, I have access to Rowdy Piper. Maybe that'll put some eyeballs on our movie. It's fascinating for me to think about.
I don't know. I feel like someone wrote Roddy an email that just said Harry Potter ripoff and pay in cash. And then he's just like, 1 ticket, please.
Yeah.
to bumfuck wherever. I don't know wherever this town is, but yes. It's an amateur hour 100%.
Yeah. And also just chalk to the brim with annoying kid actors and bad adult actors.
Yes. Some might even say the bad kid actors are better than the bad adult actors. But not me. They're all awful.
All right, so at 48, that's where I put Just Another Romantic Wrestling Comedy.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
My 48 is, so whereas The Mystical Adventures of Billy Owens was amateur hour made by a bunch of nobodies, my number 48 was amateur hour made literally by Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's comic book the movie. I'm sorry, Jameson. It's a movie that you own.
Yeah.
But just a tremendous...
Oh, it owned me.
Just a tremendous waste of everyone's time.
Yeah.
And talent. And just, yeah.
I mean, I just put that is cringy. It's an uncomfortable overindulgence from Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And it fails to showcase his actor friends who clearly did it as a favor to Mark Hamill. And it's like you know that I've made a couple of amateur short films myself.
I've been in them.
You've been in them. Yeah. I've cast a lot of my friends in them, and I'm always so worried when I put something like that together that I'm like, are my friends doing this because they think the ideas are good, or are they just doing it out of their kindness to me? It's a little bit of column A,
combo.
A little column B.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But, comic book the movie, it's Mark Hamill's vacation slides of going to Comic-Con that he constructed a loose narrative around. And, it's one of the more painful things that we have watched. Really showcases... some of the opinions that a early 2000s Kevin Smith had that he had to grow out of, frankly. But he's better now. He's a better guy now.
And also just watching Mark Hamill letting his freak flag fly.
Oh, he's flying it.
It's flying.
It's freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To the point where like, oh yeah, Mark Hamill, he's a film nerd, he's a sci-fi nerd, just like me. How endearing. Oh, yeah. No. I'm a little bit more well-adjusted than this guy.
Started that movie loving Mark Hamill, want to hang out with him. Ended that movie being all like, maybe like a lunch.
Yeah.
Maybe like a short lunch.
I will go
send him on his way.
I will go see him at a con, but I will not be happy if he like locks the doors at the convention hall and forces me to be in his bullshit movie.
I gotta go. I got literally anything better than this to do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, buddy. Okay. All right. Moving on.
What number are we at?
47.
47. Okay, that's where I put comic book the movie.
And 47 is where I have Bronx Executioner.
Okay.
So we can talk about this now. An absolute Frankenstein of a movie.
Literally, yeah.
Literally cobbled together from a completely different movie. The late Woody Strode's final appearance, except not because it was just
80 yard
just him from a different movie. He didn't even know he was in this.
Yep.
Had no idea that he was in it. Just come up to him on the street and say, "Woody, I love you," in Bronx Executioner, and he would say, "That's not a movie I'm in," and he would be wrong. They stole his performance.
Man, that was the final of those Italian post-apocalyptic B-movie pieces of crap that I watched, we watched together.
We went out with a whimper.
Such a whimper. That is one of the most boring pieces of shit I think I've ever seen in my life, but outside of podcasting or in general.
Yeah, that's dead last for you, huh?
Yeah, there's outside of maybe like a gunfight. There's really no excitement
I really couldn't remember much about it. I'll be perfectly honest. I listened back to a little bit of that episode, and even then I'm all like, what happened happens in that movie? I don't even remember.
It's one of those. Okay, well, it takes place in the post-apocalypse, but really, it's just people running around a quarry in some
it's a big
blue jeans,
movie,
and they got shotguns. Take our word for it, it's the future.
That's the other thing is all the other Italian B movies we watched just had like such significantly better costume and production design than this one did, and it wasn't even good production design, but it was better.
It was something.
It was something. Someone put effort into this.
Nope,
no effort was put into
People
this.
snuck in at a quarry, and they snuck into an abandoned factory, and they shot a fucking boring movie.
They sure did.
That was it. Okay. Yeah. So at 45...
46.
Oh, sorry, 46, I had Recoil.
Recoil. My 46 is Big Gold Brick.
Big Gold Brick, I can see that.
Are there movies higher on my list that are made more cheaply and more poorly than Big Gold Brick? Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But Big Gold Brick just pissed me the hell off because truly, what the fuck is that movie even about? What was the point of this? Why did everyone come together to make that script? What was the point of this?
It felt like an intentional waste of time.
It sure did.
Like an elaborate prank that was being played on the audience. And I'm not going to go so far as it was one of those like non-comedies, non-medies that I think were semi-popular for a while.
Give me an example. What are you talking about?
Oh, God. Like T.J. Miller's style of comedy, if you've ever seen something like that, which is just intentionally meant to be making you uncomfortable, but not by pointing out specific things. Just
T.J. Miller's hilarious. Remember that time he called in that bomb threat on that lady?
Yeah.
That's a great guy. Yeah. Remember the time he abused all those people on Silicon Valley? The funny guy.
Yeah.
Funny stuff. Yeah, but Big Gold Brick, I don't even know what it's about. Andy Garcia... We reviewed that earlier this year, and I'm struggling to remember what that was about. Andy Garcia is like a con man.
And he's taken in a guy who
has superpowers.
Yeah, and he's also suffering from brain damage. But it had like a narrative that jumped around between the guy who was staying with Andy Garcia. Yeah. But yeah.
And frozen custard is weirdly a plot point.
Yeah, and Oscar Isaac has a German accent.
And an eye patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was trying to be thought-provoking or quirky and interesting, it just wasn't.
It provoked a couple of thoughts in me.
Anger.
Mostly, fuck this!
Vitriol.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your 46 again?
Recoil.
Okay, we will get to that.
Okay.
All right. But we're up to 45 now.
Okay. I had Return of Superfly.
Return of Superfly. I had Pops Alone. Just this absolute bargain basement family entertainment ripoff of Home Alone with talking dogs with celebrity voices. Yeah.
It's a mind melter.
It truly is.
I could not look away during that movie at just how bad it was.
How garish it was, and just how cheap everything. They clearly rented out like a cul-de-sac. Like it's the same cul-de-sac that they use probably for all the Hallmark Christmas movies and everything, but it was so clearly shot in June.
Yeah.
There's just like no snow anywhere. And it wasn't even finished because all the transitions were poorly animated. Not even animated. They were just like drawn. They were just still images.
Yep.
Yeah. Not good, but if you want to watch a Christmas family movie where Dolph Lundgren holds a gun to a dog's head,
then Pops Alone has got the answer for you.
You can do worse than that.
Yeah,
and not one but two farting dog jokes, so it's a quality movie.
Oh, yeah, of course, and that notwithstanding was just childish and stupid in all the ways that all the bad kids movies can be, but I don't know, it wormed its way into my heart.
Oh, did it?
Well, more than that, I think it polluted my mind.
So those pups, what you're saying is the pups gave you worms.
They did, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, all those celebrity dogs.
Well, you need to go get that checked out. We're really cruising through this list. I'm feeling good about this.
Good, yeah.
All right, number 44.
44, that's where I have Big Gold Brick.
Big Gold Brick. My number 44 was Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby, a question that no one should ever ask because the answer is confusing. Didn't really explain that one out terribly well. You know what? Maybe some classic horror movies don't need TV movie sequels.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
Conceptually, it was all over the place because it seemed like it was a condensed version of 5 different Rosemary's Baby sequels.
Yeah, it was a little portmanteau-ish.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was just very unnecessary. Yeah, why do you think they had to make something like that?
Because name brand, they want to reel in the viewers and they want to make a buck off of some sort of like established.
At that point, it would have been like a 10-year-old movie.
Exactly, the movie was quite old by that point. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, truly a waste of time. Yeah, we might be entering the portion of my movies now where I don't actually have that much to say about it.
Okay.
Yeah, bad. Not
Okay.
good. 43.
I had Stay.
Stay. This is where I have the villain.
Okay.
Lame gags ahoy.
Frustratingly annoying. I put on something like this.
Yeah, it was pretty. Kind of pissed me off.
Yeah. And yet I think someone had an okay idea of, hey, you're acclaimed stuntman.
Hal Needham.
Who's like done like Smokey and the Bandit and all these other Burt Reynolds classics.
You have your own action play set that children can buy.
And so, okay, you're the stunt film guy. What do you want to do? I want to make a movie where we just recreate a bunch of Looney Tunes gags. Okay, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It actually does sound like a lot of fun.
Do you want to, like, say, strap a giant rocket to the back of some guy and put him on some roller skates and have him roll down a hill? No, I want to film Kirk Douglas paint a tunnel on a wall and then Schwarzenegger rides a carriage through it unharmed.
The one thing that's almost impossible to pull off in live action in 1970, whatever.
I would have appreciated them giving it a shot and not, like, the super obvious simple ones. At the very least.
Yeah, the gags were lame, and the story around it, there wasn't.
It was a Looney Tunes plot.
Was a Looney Tunes plot, and there just wasn't much to hold on to. It was kind of a trip seeing that early of an Arnold Schwarzenegger performance, like before he made the Terminator.
Yeah.
And I think my point maintains still that I think he turned in a fairly decent performance in that.
Sure.
To the best of his abilities at that time.
I think the kind of same could be said for Kirk Douglas. I mean, what a fucking pro.
He was definitely
he's
going
way
for
above
it.
something like that.
Yeah.
And there he was.
All right, 42.
42. That's where I have Rosemary's Baby.
Okay, Rosemary's Baby. 42 for me is Mind Cage. Which is higher on my list than it probably should be, but it gets points for that ending. It gets points for John Malkovich drawing a picture of Martin Lawrence, and then that means he can inhabit his body. And then we get the ending where Martin Lawrence speaks, but John Malkovich's voice comes out. I didn't realize how much I wanted to see that before I saw that, and then I'm all like, this is great. This is awesome.
It's an amazing twist ending. I'll give the movie that, and that's probably why it's elevated a little bit higher. But other than that, it's just a paint-by-numbers fucking serial killer movie.
It kind of doesn't have anything...
It's a knockoff of Silence of the Lambs without any of the things that made Silence of the Lambs awesome.
It's pretty boring. It kind of doesn't have anything going for it until literally the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But those last 10...
And it's just a long slog getting to it.
It is. It takes a while, which is why it's still quite low.
But I wholeheartedly agree. That fucking twist ending, like, man, did our moods perk up when we saw that.
That's one of the better ones. Mm-hmm. All right, 41.
41, I had 11 Harrow House.
Oh, yeah. That's quite low.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why. It's like I almost didn't like it.
My number 41 is Jersey Shore Shark Attack, which weirdly has its heart in the right place. I wrote.
Yes, I agree.
Like kind of like a movie that, like, by the end of it is all like, oh, that kind of has like nice morals, and like treats the characters from Jersey Shore as more competent than they are in real life.
More
as like human beings.
Yes, not necessarily relatable, but at least more wholesome.
Yeah.
Than how they ever were on the TV show.
It was like they were supposed to make like a broad Jersey Shore parody, and they kind of failed at that by making them actual characters with like relatable traits.
It's so funny that I can imagine that if like the Asylum were to make like a Sharknado and cast the Jersey Shore guys, they would get killed right away. The joke would be at their expense. Here they are in like, I don't know who made this, whether it was Sci-Fi or Asylum, but they're like, you know what? Let's elevate some of the humanity that we know is underneath all the bad hairspray and fake tan.
Let's put some work into this. Look, we've already paid for Paul Sorvino. We gotta elevate the rest of this.
Yeah. I mean,
first build Paul Sorvino.
Yeah, and it is one of those like intentionally schlocky kind of movies that I, tend to steer away from when we do bad movie reviews, stuff like that.
So we literally picked that out of a hat.
Out of a hat, yeah, we kind of had to. But yes, I was kind of surprised at how much not sentimental. Now I'm giving it a little too much credit. But yes, it had more heart than I anticipated. And I think the actors were pretty engaged. I think they had a blast playing the roles.
I'm certain in one of the myriad of Sharknado movies, none of which I've seen, but there's so many of them, there has to be at least one Jersey Shore cast member in one of them, right?
Probably, yeah. They get their heads bitten off or something.
They're buried somewhere in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past any of them.
No.
Yeah.
All right, number 40.
Number 40, The Search for One-Eyed Jimmy.
Mine is Pinocchio 3000.
Pinocchio 3000, yep.
Which is a terrifying movie, ostensibly made for children, but if you showed your child it, you might get arrested. Because it will cause nightmares.
It's ugly as sin.
It's a very unpleasant-looking movie. Still slightly better than the Robert Zemeckis movie. I would just I'll give it the slightest nudge.
I had the option of watching 2 different Pinocchio animated movies last year, and I chose. Oh no, it wasn't animated. Pinocchio was.
Enough of the Zemeckis movie is animated that I would say there are portions of that movie where Tom Hanks is not on screen. They have fully just CGI'd Tom Hanks into a couple of scenes and hoping no one would notice.
Yeah.
But we did because we're the internet and we notice everything.
The only other thing I'll just say about that movie is it had some weird deviations from the Pinocchio story. I don't know if they were added for the sake of making it legally distinct.
Well, it's public domain, so you don't have to do shit. You can do whatever you want with that story. That's the thing. You can do whatever the fuck you want with Pinocchio.
I suppose. Why do this though? I don't know. Not any redeeming qualities. I don't think there's anything positive to say about that movie other than I've seen worse. I've listed worse.
Well, yeah, it's number 40. I have seen literally 9 worse than this movie.
Yep.
All right, number 39.
Number 39, I have Creature.
Number 39 is where I have Recoil.
Okay.
And I don't really have much to say about Recoil. Did you have anything you wanted to say about Recoil? You put it a lot lower than I did.
Of all the movies where I put little blurbs, this one's the shortest.
Yeah.
All right, I have unspectacular and unremarkable.
Yeah.
Took itself too seriously.
I just wrote least amount of effort from everyone involved.
Except for the guy who played the deputy.
Oh, yeah, we liked him.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah, we liked him, and then Trejo showed up. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a wrestling movie. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, Stone Cold.
Sorry.
But you know what? I bet he feels the same about that movie.
He's very sad right now. He's crying into his Stone Cold, Sarah. I forgot my own gag from the episode.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Do you really want to go back and revisit that?
It wasn't that long ago, too. It was like a couple months ago we did
that. It really was, yeah.
It should be fresh in my mind, but no, I can barely remember anything about it.
All right, so that's what I had for 38.
39.
Sorry, for 39. Oh, for 39. Oh, shit, I think we fucked up.
Did we skip? Damn it, this is so easy.
All right, well, for 39, I had Mind Cage.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for 38, I said Creature.
Okay.
And
now we're on 38. So you said 38 is Creature?
Yes.
Okay. So my 38 is The Return of Superfly.
Okay.
And once again, I just wrote down quite poor.
Mm-hmm.
That was really all I could.
Yep.
I really can't remember much about that movie. I remember the Samuel L. Jackson bits because that's why we watched it. We watched it for Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
What happens in that movie? He shoots a bunch of criminals?
He incites a gang war by poisoning people.
He poisons cocaine. Right.
He poisons cocaine, then he puts it out into the communities with the hopes that that's going to turn the gangs against each other. Other than that, it's a very poorly made movie. One of the notes I put down for is that it's hard to follow and digest.
Explain.
We just had to, search our memory banks for what happens in that movie exactly. There was that one lady who was living in the apartment when he goes to visit his friend, and we didn't know what her situation was.
It was hard to tell what everyone's connection to everybody was on that one,
Yeah, but the other thing I put, great pyrotechnics.
Sure, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm
sure
10 different storefronts blew up, and
Yeah.
they blew up a cop car, and there were big fireball explosions.
Hey, some of these movies on near the top of my list are up there largely because they have good explosions.
All right,
so
fantastic.
That's all you need.
I'm looking forward to getting to that part of the list.
All right, number 37.
37, that's where I have Pinocchio.
37 we have not lined up yet.
Maybe when we get to the top, I think
when we get to maybe that's where it is. Number 37 for me is Separate Lives.
Ah, okay.
Which I just wrote deeply unsexy. It's following in the footsteps of your basic instincts and your fatal attractions, except just two people you really don't want to see bone at all. Linda Hamilton and Jim Belushi, but I will say this, the one saving grace is you do get to see Jim Belushi get his ass handed to him, and it's great. It's kind of the only good thing about the movie, but if you've ever tired of Belushi's antics, watch a few scenes of this and he'll he will just absolutely get the business, and it was glorious.
I just remember how poorly casted Jim Belushi was as like the male lead in an erotic thriller.
Yeah.
And
not a good call.
He just looks like a woodshop teacher walking through that club, you know, with
right? Because this
the
was
green flannel and everything.
This was mid-90s, so he was still trying to fool everyone that he had like hair.
Yeah,
yeah, and it was like mostly all in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just on top of it, it was a mystery where one of the central suspects is like a lady with a split personality. Yeah. So it's like, that's
hoary old cliche.
Yeah. And the mystery itself wasn't all that engaging because you and I pegged out who the killer was right away because the movie did the stupid thing where it doesn't reveal them too much. Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, it's got to be this guy.
Well,
this guy's the red herring. This guy's dead meat.
Yeah.
So there's only one person left who could conceivably be.
Yeah, it's just
if you're making a mystery, make more than 3 fucking suspects.
Exactly. You got to have economy of characters, and it's always the person who gets introduced and doesn't really like have that much like effect on the story, and that's why those Rian Johnson mysteries are great because he subverts that and he always makes the most obvious person the killer, and it's great. He's done it twice now. He can't do it a third time because
he'll do something different. I hope.
We will see. We'll see.
Ryan, give us a call. We'll help you out.
All right, 36.
36. I had Skidoo.
I had Son of Dracula.
Oh, that's high on my list.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I'm an idiot. Say it, Kaz.
No, just interesting for a different reason. So the movie was awful, but it was also kind of fascinating, and just largely because of the way we watched it on that really fuzzy, terrible YouTube rip, and then after that, like learning the information that it was never released on home media in any form whatsoever, not even on like Laserdisc. So like there was this air of like, we shouldn't be watching this right now. Like this is like we
like Ringo Starr's gonna order a hit squad on us or something.
Someone literally stole Ringo Starr's only copy of this movie and then uploaded it to YouTube, or maybe it was Ringo.
Yeah,
maybe he figured out how the YouTube works.
I mean,
no, that can't be right.
The execution of the whole movie itself is just a fucking garbage fire.
Yeah.
You know, like none of them knew what the hell they were really going to do. No one with any kind of sense of storytelling was in charge of the script, and transitions would go into seem more like a music video. Well, I will say though, conceptually, fucking hilarious. What the fuck were they thinking? It's a costume party between Ringo Starr and Harry Nilsson, and they just decided to make a fucking Dracula movie together.
It had the format of like a music movie, of like one of those Beatles movies, but I didn't think there was that many songs in it. And they realized like, well, we don't have enough songs here, so we'll just throw in some more bullshit about Baron von Frankenstein or whatever, and we'll keep, I don't know, like something will happen here. But
it's like 2 of the biggest fucking musicians of the 60s, and they just decided to record a costume party that they had.
Yeah, and Harry Nilsson's like, we're going to make a Dracula movie, and Ringo Starr's like, great, I'll be Merlin. And then someone started saying, Ringo, and then they're just like, no. Let's see where this goes.
I mean, you're opening the episode with a dig at those guys that died trying to search the Titanic in a fucking homemade submarine or whatever. And I mean, like, yeah, I'm down for poking fun at rich people for the dumb mistakes that they do. And this was what that movie was.
Yeah. Well, this is a better example because no one died.
No one died. Yeah.
That we know of.
The original Dracula died.
The original Dracula. So we haven't lined up yet. But hey, at the very least, 36, we both picked Harry Nilsson movies. So that's the closest we've come. That's the closest we've come so far. All right, 35.
35, I have Poker Face.
I have Terminal.
Okay.
Our famous double episode.
The double header,
that did not mean to be a double episode.
Yeah.
I just wrote stylish but stupid. It's kind of a movie that every time I think about it, I'm all like, was that maybe not that bad? Was that better than I'm thinking? I don't know. And evidenced by the fact that you clearly have it higher.
Yeah.
You must think somewhat of the same thing.
I just put down too many detours and very improbable. I thought.
Very improbable.
I mean, where the fuck was that movie set? Just like
in a terminal.
Like a terminal that encompasses an entire city.
Yeah. It's underneath. It's underneath the ground.
And one of those heightened reality Sin City type places.
It's like what Tom Waits said. There's a world going on underground. And that's what he was talking about. He was talking about Terminal.
I do agree. I did enjoy the mood. I kind of dig the style of it. I thought the set people did a nice job dressing that place up to make it look very moody. And I know I was the lone man out on this, but I really like the interactions between Margot Robbie and Simon Pegg. I thought those two guys carried the movie. Anything else that didn't have to do with those two actors on screen having any kind of dialogue with each other, I just couldn't be asked with this movie.
I was kind of interested in the train wreck of what was going on with Mike Myers in that. And I liked the scenes between Margot and Simon Pegg. It's just so much of this movie is with the two hitmen.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care about those characters. And
Same.
they're not, no disrespect to Max Irons and Dexter Fletcher, but, they're not on the same level as a Mike Myers or a Simon Pegg. So I'm just sitting here and I'm just going like, why are we spending so much time with this? Why do these guys get so much screen time?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. But I guess, Margot Robbie and Simon Pegg just elevated that way higher on my list, which is funny because I don't think I said I liked that movie in the recording. But whatever.
Yeah. It's a movie
like
that
I'm saying, I'm finding weird justifications to put stuff on my list.
It plays better in my memory. I think if I watched that movie again, I'd be pissed off. But I will never watch that movie again because I have watched it 3 times
There
now.
you go.
I haven't even watched movies I like 3 times. So how about that? All right. 34.
34, that's where I have Separate Lives.
Okay. And this is where I have The Real Macaw.
The Real Macaw. Yeah.
And I just wrote, Australia. Never change. Whatever. That one's so fresh in the mind. Just go listen to that episode.
Yeah, really.
I mean, yeah, it's a poorly made kids movie, but it has that Aussie weirdness to it.
Oh, it's got the weirdness to it.
I don't know. I couldn't hate it that much, but it was very irritating.
Much in the way that you were elevating Mind Cage because of that ending, I gotta give props to this movie's very heightened and exciting final 10 minutes.
That's true. There's some explosions in this. A
parrot blows up a boat, and then there's a kid drowning in the ocean. He sees his dead parrot friend floating next to him.
Oh, man.
Dad's tossing him a lifeline from the
absolutely traumatic.
Yeah, but no, 98% of that movie is fucking dumb as all hell. But you know what? That ending engaged me, and weirdly enough, it paid off a lot of the things it set up, but just did a poor job of carrying throughout the movie. About like, the kid doesn't really apply himself, and the dad's kind of lost his joy in life. The movie tells us, but doesn't really show.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The movie pays all that off, and it reassures that this is a happy family at the end. Yeah, the movie's weirdly high on my list.
And it's not the treasure of the heart. Whatever that was.
Yeah, it's not. I'll tell you right now, it's not top 10. So don't worry.
Literally every original song that shows up in a movie here, when I'm trying to recount it in my head, it's literally just the tune of Mercenary Man.
That's all you need, man.
Found the treasure inside you.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta send you the playlist I assembled of all the music tracks.
Oh yeah. All right, 33.
33. I have Empire State.
All right, this is where I have Poker Face.
Okay.
And I simply wrote, is Liam Hemsworth good in this? That was all I wrote. That was the only sentence I could think of to write that. Yeah, it's a very poor. I don't even know what the hell what genre would you classify this? It's not a thriller.
No.
Until maybe its last 10
minutes. It's
not
a dramatic thriller. It's not a psychological thriller.
I don't know. It's like
not a thrill to be had.
It's halfway between a drama and a thriller, but it doesn't do either of them very well.
Mm-hmm. It's a character piece, but it does a very bad job of setting up the characters. The movie itself, I just thought was incredibly poorly structured.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Jumping back and forth, not establishing characters.
It's a movie called Poker Face that takes place at a poker game, and they play one hand of poker. That's really all you need to say about it.
Yeah.
They never get around to the poker game, and then once they start the poker game, they immediately find a way to not play the poker game.
And also, one of the only things that would give any kind of movie its excitement is the revelation that, he poisoned the contestants so he could reveal...
It's the type...
But what he really does is he drops truth serum into it, and the movie shows its hand too early by showing us.
Yeah, it literally shows.
So we're already in on the fact that these guys aren't in any danger.
Other poker metaphors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Liam Hemsworth was a lot better in this.
He was
than
better
anything
in
else
this
I've
than
seen.
Empire State.
I think the movie could have done better from his perspective. I don't know.
Wait, was your 33 Empire State?
My 33 was Empire State.
So there we go. Now,
okay,
so we're not picking the same movies.
It's a weird overlap.
We're picking the same actor.
Yeah.
So that's kind of strange. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. But my Poker Face was way low on the list for me.
All right. What's your 32?
My 32 is Slipstream.
My 32 is Everyone's Hero.
Oh, okay.
A movie that I still need to look up on IMDb because I still can't remember if it's everyone's hero or everybody's hero.
Yeah, I have that weird Berenstain Bears effect.
I truly will never get the right one. I'll always have to look it up. The only sentence I wrote down for this one was, holy shit, they said the N-word.
They didn't say it.
They didn't say it, but they wrote it, which is just as bad as saying it. In fact, it's worse. Because now I'm saying it in my head.
They did that for historical accuracy
because
there was that named league.
I know,
to
but
see that in a kid's movie is very jarring.
To see it in a kid's movie was strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That aside, I thought that movie, where did I put it here? I thought it was a sweet and serviceable movie with only a few animation and story hiccups. That's it.
Yeah, I roughly say the same thing, except I clearly thought it was a little bit worse than you, because you haven't said it yet.
Well, okay, I mean, don't hold this list as a judge against my character. I mean,
what other purpose are we?
This ain't Finding Nemo. It's a fine kids movie.
Judging Jameson. That's what this episode will be titled: Judging Jameson.
Judging Jameson. Okay.
Ranking the next 50.
Yeah, the other 50 movies.
A Rope of Sand.
Yeah, and 50 other subjects on the docket here. All right.
Put a pin in the slight tangent. Have you finished up Clone High?
Yeah.
The new Clone High?
Yeah.
God, what a disappointment.
Mm-hmm. I told you my idea for what it should have been.
Make a better one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was keep the characters that were frozen in the early 2000s frozen because the tropes of teen dramas from that era don't apply anymore. So make new frozen clones for us to follow storylines around. Keep Scudworth and Butlertron. And now you don't have the hopes from the past series clinging to this new one, and you don't have to risk tarnishing the old series.
I was holding out hope for as long as possible that maybe this new season wasn't the worst. The episode that fully lost me was the episode where they revealed why Mr. Butlertron says Wesley. That was the moment where I'm all like, fuck you guys. You fundamentally do not understand what made this first series funny in the first. It's funny because we don't know why. That's the whole joke. Is Scudworth says, I don't know why he says that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also,
what?
I don't like the character design for Confucius. Damn it, Abe's the tallest.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Where are we at here?
Number 31 is 31. Where we're at.
I have Violet and Daisy for 31.
I also have a movie that is named after a female character. Mine is Maggie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They tried really hard to make that a good movie. Everyone was trying really hard.
Yes.
And it just didn't come together in a satisfying way.
Yep.
But I can't fault the movie too much. It's just kind of a shrug.
You know what? Maggie is high on my list only because from a competent filmmaker stand, it's better than a lot of the other stuff on this list. But on terms of like whether I would recommend it for our podcast or whether I would recommend it for people who are fans of, like forgotten B movie stuff, this would be near the bottom. This would be close to where you had it, if not lower.
I largely came up with my list. I largely numbered my list based solely on how much I want to rewatch these movies.
Yeah.
So like my top 10 are like, I would rewatch these movies, and then everything underneath that, it would have to be all like, well, there's gotta be a reason for me to watch this. And I don't foresee myself ever rewatching Maggie. There's no reason to.
Yeah. I mean, I say it's a better made movie than just another romantic wrestling comedy.
It truly is.
But I found the whole thing itself just very dull, and I'm not into depressing films like that.
Yeah, it's very navel-gazing.
Yeah, I think it would have worked better as a short film.
Yeah,
myself.
Yeah, it would have been like a great 35-minute movie, maybe even shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was like a short film, then it might stand as the finest piece of acting Arnold Schwarzenegger has ever given. But unfortunately, it's a full-length movie, and
needed a car chase.
It needed something.
Needed tension.
Something to happen. Yeah, there's no tension in there.
Yeah, I think I brought up there has to be a part where
it's the most tensionless zombie movie of all time.
The mean cop in town who is at odds with the sheriff, who's a friend of Arnie's. He needs to be in a position of power where he actually goes after Maggie because he wants to haul her off to quarantine. So they need to have like a shootout where he's holed up in the farmhouse, or he drives to like a water tower and he's like there to defend his daughter, and and after like 10 minutes of that she goes, "Dad, it's okay, let me go."
I guess just Arnold just like fully didn't want to fire a gun or really do anything action hero-y in this. It's just like strip all of that away and just let me be regular American farmer.
Yeah.
Joe, I don't remember his character's name, but
Joe American.
Actually, I think his character's name was Wade.
Yes.
I actually am remembering that now.
Yeah. But yeah, that was all these art house movies, Kaz. Watch them on your own time. Don't put them on the show.
All right. Have you noticed I haven't forced you to watch another one since then?
I appreciate that.
That was an early nothing movies for us, so yeah, we were still finding our footing. Yeah.
And then I countered with Comic Book the Movie. And
Indeed.
since then, we've had like a gentleman's agreement not to torture each other.
We found a pleasant middle area.
Yeah.
All right, number 30.
Number 30, I have Noel. No, sorry, Noel.
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 God. I also have a title that is 4 letters.
Okay.
This is where I have stay.
Okay.
I just wrote, what a twist!
The twist that invalidates the whole movie?
Basically, yeah. just a twist that just, like, the more you think about it, the more none of it makes sense. And, yeah, it's just, like, we're right in this era still of, like, we gotta Shyamalan this movie the fuck up, you know? We gotta, everything that you saw before, guess what? That wasn't exactly what you saw, but maybe it was kind of. We're borrowing elements from this.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't give away the twist here because we give it away in the episode, but, you know, if you want to watch Stay?
I would advise you to stay
twist
away. Yeah. Outside of that twist, I found that movie very, very hard to follow and very hard to watch.
Intentionally, I would say. I would say that is the point that they were trying to make. They tried to make it intentionally hard to follow.
Well, I mean, narrative-wise, you know, it's a little all over the place, and you're wondering why they're doing these decisions. The cinematography, I thought, was very jarring. It took me out of the movie more than once.
Very 2005. It's a very green movie.
Yeah.
Green and yellow.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's the color of puke. It kind of makes you sick while you're watching it.
It has a transition situation where it's like it's punching your brain.
Sure.
Because you think you're following one character, and then that swerves in the middle of like a character taking a step, or in the middle of something flashing by the camera. And there were moments in there where I thought, like, this is actually quite inventive, and I've never seen this in a movie before. And even that started to grate on me.
It was like I've never seen this before in a movie. This is kind of interesting that they did this, but like, what was the point? What was the purpose of this? What was the purpose of like Ryan Gosling entering a shot and then like the camera staying on him, but like the scenery changing around him? And
yeah,
it's like it's neat camera tricks, but like, what does it serve? It's just
some of them
to show that you can do it.
Yeah, some of them are interesting, and some of them I'm sure a film professor will like point at the screen and be like, "See, this is why you don't do this."
And that's why you don't make Stay.
That's right.
All right. Number 29.
29. That's where I have Jersey Shore Shark Attack.
And this is where I have The Search for One-Eyed Jimmy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't really have much to say about it. So
everyone's got to start somewhere.
I want to take this opportunity because we have talked about this actor in a couple of movies, and there's a point that I've always wanted to make about him, and I always forget after the episode's over that I forgot to bring it up. So I'm going to take this opportunity to do it. I want to say something about Nicholas Turturro,
okay,
who's in that movie and who's in Pups Alone. The thing that I realized while looking through his IMDb, and I forgot to say on both of those episodes. So you know how like Rob Schneider was like kind of like Adam Sandler's like sidekick for a little while there in the 90s. If he made a movie, Schneider would pop up in like a role, probably playing like an ethnicity that he clearly wasn't or whatever. Yeah. I'm going through Nicholas Turturro's filmography. Nicholas Turturro appears to be the Rob Schneider for Kevin James because he is in multiple Kevin James starring Happy Madison movies.
Ah, okay.
And it's just...
When they couldn't get Schneider, they call on...
If you thought being the Rob Schneider of Hollywood was bad...
Yeah, just try being the Rob Schneider of Kevin James.
Oh, boy. That is... I feel like Nicholas John Turturro's brother deserves better than that. Even if he's, like, accepting the roles, like, someone needs to... One of the Turturros needs to step in.
Have an intervention
and say,
him.
Nick, we don't need it. It could be John, it could be Ada, it doesn't matter. One of them.
Yeah.
I'll take like a Sopranos cast member at this point. I don't care. Michael Badalucco, his co-star from One-Eyed Jimmy. He's got to step in. He's got to say, like, Nick, all your friends and family here, we love you. Just put the phone down. If Kevin James calls you, put the phone down, please. You don't need to be in Here Comes the Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot to say that.
Well, what are your thoughts on Search for One-Eyed Jimmy?
Those chicken wings look good. Ooh, those look like some good. Actually, they didn't. They looked like
no, they
shitty
looked awful.
They looked like bad chicken wings. But that one guy seemed to really like them.
I mean, it was an awful looking movie. Everything was set in that dilapidated neighborhood.
It's a very it was a very DIY movie. It was clearly made.
Reminded me of when I was originally thinking I'm going to be a filmmaker, this is what my movies would look like. They would have to look like this, just based out of necessity and getting around shooting permits and crap.
But it was neat to revisit that era of like mid-90s independent filmmaking, like right on the cusp of Pulp Fiction when everything changed. Like this was, and that movie had so many cast members from Pulp Fiction and Coen Brothers movies and everything. So it was kind of like a meeting. It was like a holding movie. While everyone was waiting for the next Coen Brothers, they're all like, I got like a couple of days.
That's when Steve Buscemi looked around and be like, I got to talk to my agent to get some better roles. I'll say this, couple of good jokes.
Sure.
A couple of funny
lines.
Yeah,
there's a couple of laughs.
Not all of them. Certainly not all of them.
Certainly not. No.
But no.
I can't remember any of them, but yeah, I remember that we laughed.
There was that one part where like the guy who kept stealing the other guy's car, and then he's like, give me my car back. Oh, hey, fine. And he finds out he's already hotwired it. Whatever. It's not that strong of a movie.
Number 28.
28. That's where I have Black Moon Rising.
And this is where I have Empire State.
Okay.
Which you liked less than I did.
I did. I'm actually surprised it's that high on your list.
I kind of found it fascinating, honestly. It was a real sort of much like Big Gold Brick, but in a much better way. It was a real. Why did they make this? Who decided that we needed to come together and produce literally this screenplay?
I think it's because on the surface, it's an interesting idea for a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like a robbery at a money truck repository or what have you. Guy who's in on it just so happens to witness or a break-in that happens at the same time, unrelated to the crew that's breaking in. I thought it was...
Yeah, there's a lot of unrelated crimes in this movie that didn't have anything to do with the plot. I just think it's kind of fascinating given that how...
Based on a true story, too.
And also how big of a movie star Dwayne Johnson is. And we went through his career. This literally is his only nothing movie. It's the only movie he has made that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
Like even like his lesser works like Faster or Gridiron Gang. Like, I don't know, those movies still exist on a certain level.
Yeah,
Empire State does not exist.
This was right around the time where he first started shaving his head, which is when he really kind of blew up as an actor. I don't know. I think the premise of the film is okay. I just thought it could use a better director and less distracting top billed stars.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Emma Roberts famously top billed for that movie. She's in it for 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nikki Reed gets the and. I think she has like 2 lines.
Yeah. Dwayne Johnson, not even really trying for this movie.
No. He's
not playing a character.
He is a character in the movie. Yeah. But
and Liam Hemsworth, forget everything we said about how good he was in Poker Face. He's terrible in this.
He's not good in this, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Michael Angarano, who actually did a pretty good job, and didn't get credited on the poster, even though he is ostensibly the secondary main character of that movie. But I don't know. Now that I'm kind of saying it, I'm kind of thinking maybe I should be lower on my list, but it's too late. I said it on mic, which means it's written in stone.
I had that at number 33.
Well, that's not that much lower.
Not much, but.
All right. Well, what's your 27?
My 27 is DOA.
My 27 is Legendary.
Okay.
Our other wrestler movie from one of the other wrestler movies.
One of the other ones, yeah.
I just wrote, it was okay.
Yeah.
It was good.
It's, kind of corny and schmaltzy, but not super inoffensive or anything.
That was the thing. It's like it's maybe the most inoffensive. Well, no. I know the most inoffensive movie we've watched, and it's quite high on my list, unfortunately.
Okay.
But, Legendary is fine. It's just an inspirational sports story, and everyone does a fairly good job.
I can't really ridicule it too much. It's a fine story, a well-made movie.
Now
Patricia Clarkson fucking knocking everything out of the park in this movie.
She's putting way too much effort into this WWE produced.
Not sleepwalking through this.
Yes, it was.
It was our first.
I think that was our first and only WWE Studios movie that we've covered. And nowadays,
I remember because I had the DVD.
Yeah,
you rented it from the library.
That's
you
right.
gave it to me, and I was on my way to the library to drop it off. And just on a whim, I was reading the back, and there was like a making of music video for John Cena for a song that didn't even make the movie.
Oh my God, why didn't we talk about that?
Because I found out about it too late.
We never watched the special features.
Yeah.
We should. We should start doing that. We should, you know what? We'll have an episode that's all special features.
We almost did with that comic book, the movie.
That's true. We rented.
That was a mistake on both
we'll
our
re-rent
parts.
all the movies we've covered, and we'll watch all the special features, and we'll just cover that when we run out of ideas.
Maybe just the top 3. I don't know.
All right. What's your 26?
My 26. That's the real macaw for me.
All right. This is where I have Creature, which is much higher than where you.
That's pretty high on your list.
I thought it was a cheesy, dumb movie. I thought it was.
It's certainly that.
And I like a space. I like a space story. I like a spaceman. I thought it had like a kind of creepy monster. I don't know. I said, this is the point of the list where I don't really have strong feelings about the movies one way or the other. But I thought it was competently made. Apart from the sequences where it's so dark you couldn't see anything. But I also largely blame that on the YouTube upload.
Okay.
But, I thought it was fine. Again, no strong feelings really one way or the other. I thought it was better than most of the movies which is why it's high on my list.
I'm just equating it too much to Alien because we took that opportunity to talk about Alien too much. And it really is just like another generic space monster attacking a spaceship crew in space.
That's your first mistake. If you compare it to one of the best movies ever made, then it's quite poor.
Well, it's like Alien just had so many more stylistic choices made for it and for the monster itself that set it above other, here's a monster attacking people in space. Outside of those elements, you get Creature. Yeah.
That's almost the tagline for the DVD cover.
It's like Alien,
Outside
but
of those
they
elements,
took out all the good parts.
You get, and then just the title of the movie.
Yeah, and also it was confused. I was confused by how Creature's powers worked. Had some good practical effects. There's a part where a guy gets his face ripped clean off, and that's super cool looking. Couldn't tell you a single character's name.
No. The professor, Rudy, the German scientist. I remember that.
Okay, all right.
I remember one. I can't remember. That's it, though.
Because that guy was a notorious creep, wasn't he?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure there was like a Maverick or something in there.
Oh, and it had the lady that we thought was
that
should have been a cyborg, but wasn't.
That's right. We kept
head of
assuming
security
she was a
that
cyborg,
sucked at
but no,
her
she
job.
was just kind of boring lady.
Yeah.
So you can tell.
Who was missing for half the movie.
Cyborg / boring lady.
Well, whatever. You liked it more than I did.
I liked it a
bully
little
for
bit
you.
more than you did. 20. Hey, guess what? We're halfway through the list.
Yeah.
Do we want to say this and then take a little break and
Sure.
drop in a charity spot?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. But we'll. I feel like I said, you know what? Charity spot here. And when we come back, 25-1.
Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned.
25-1. I don't blow my fucking brains out. Despite our sometimes contemptuous and mocking tones when discussing the films and shows on this podcast, Kaz and I have a great respect for the cinematic arts and a great deal of admiration for the filmmakers, actors, and craftspeople who combine their skills to create art seen by countless people around the world. Our show would not be possible without films to critique and actors to discuss. And given the long hours and difficult production shoots endured to entertain the consuming audience, we owe these people a great debt of gratitude. As of this recording, the writers and SAG-AFTRA strike in Hollywood has gone on for nearly 3 months, halting numerous film and television productions and leaving hundreds of thousands without work. These professionals, the lifeblood of the film and television industry for more than a century, are fighting for their livelihood in a landscape that chooses to see them as non-essential. And while it may be the writers and actors leading the strike, all parts are essential in this highly collaborative industry. Consider the set builders, prop masters, lighting technicians, camera operators, caterers, makeup artists, sound engineers, animators, and countless other roles in the filmmaking process. This strike is not a cause for movie stars and celebrities. It is a fight for the honest, behind-the-scenes tradesfolk who make up the vast majority of the industry. And they are the ones hurt the most during this time. So in this charity spot, I would like to highlight the Entertainment Community Fund, which helps those affected by work stoppages or other pauses in film and television industry work. They provide emergency financial assistance for people who are unable to pay immediate basic living expenses such as housing, food, utility, bills, and healthcare. Contributions to the Community Fund go right towards supporting programs that foster stability and resiliency, providing a safety net for performing arts and entertainment professionals over their lifespan. To learn more about the Entertainment Community Fund or to make a donation, please visit their website at entertainmentcommunity.org. Again, that's entertainmentcommunity.org. I'm not sitting on the side of the light. My print is so small.
Yeah. You were really proud of the fact that you got that all onto one page, and then we got in here, and it's like, you got my reading glasses on.
Yeah. I am still very.
It's on one page.
I am very proud that I managed to get blurbs of 50 different movies onto one page.
That's great. You could have made it a little bit bigger. You could have double-sided that. There's lots of things you could have done.
Well, it's not a book report. I'm not here to cheat. Well, this is some serious shitcast.
And yet, I'm still gonna grade you. All right, well, we're back.
Welcome back.
We're 25 movies in, and we still have not...
We haven't seen eye to eye on anything.
We haven't seen eye to eye yet, which is making me think, what
Welcome to the final Nothing Movies episode.
No, it just proves what a good fit we are, because we have different opinions and different tastes.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't actually say our 25, did we? No.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. That was 10 minutes ago.
Well, my 25 was Legendary.
And my 25 was Grabbers!
Grabbers!
They're grabbing!
Mm-hmm.
The movie where it was fun to say Grabbers! Mm-hmm. That is without a doubt our sloppiest episode ever.
Oh yeah,
because
we got pretty lit
episode, and and we were.
It was
it was a Halloween.
It was a Halloween episode. Jeez, we're still fucking it up.
And that was just. It was a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie about a tiny little Irish village that gets beset by aliens, and then they quickly figure out they won't drink your blood if you are drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's a really smart and fun idea for like a campy little comedy horror, and they just didn't go far enough with that idea. I was just a little disappointed by it.
Yeah, agreed. It really lets its own premise down. Because I want to see Shaun of the Dead style bunch of drunk yahoos trying to ward off an alien invasion, with all these like ramshackle homemade weapons.
Yeah.
And of course they're staggering around and they're getting pissed drunk and they're falling over. And there's like this monstrous tentacle creature that's harassing them. There's so much there. And it plays it a little too straight.
Yeah, like halfway through the movie, when they figure out that that's the thing that gets rid of the monsters or dispels the monsters, keeps them away from you, for like the latter half of the movie, the latter 50% of that movie, everyone should be shit-faced.
Yeah.
To the very end of the movie, but I feel like they're only kind of like wasted for like 10 minutes, and then they got like scared sober.
Yeah,
and then it's just a conventional alien creature movie.
The biggest monster of all like attacks the pub, and it's like, well, what are we gonna do now? I don't know. It really needed to go full throttle with that ridiculousness.
Yes.
I will say, surprisingly good CGI.
Yeah, for a movie of that budget, sure. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I mean that monster looked damn good in the rain, which even
when it looked good in motion.
Except when it was tumbling around, I didn't like that.
Well, actually, that was the thing that I remembered. That was the thing that I'm all like, it's one of those things where it's moving so fast, it's kind of like unnatural, and that's what I kind of find like creepy about it. But could
have been better.
Could have been better.
I think it could have been way better.
Yeah, really could. All right, number 24.
24. I have 51st State.
51st State.
The 51st State.
The 51st State, a movie that you really have to enunciate because it sounds like you're saying 51st dates.
Did we match up?
No, we didn't.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately, we did not.
you wanted to just get that joke out of the way.
No, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
All right.
My 24 is Black Moon Rising for me. Stylish, but kind of whatever. But, it was...
I thought it acted a little more stylish than it was, but...
It was like, there was some cool future cars.
There was one future car.
There was one future car that they all wanted.
And it was parked in a garage for most of the movie. It was parked in a garage
for a lot of it, but by the end, he's jumping from a building. I don't know, there was some neat stuff in it. It was just kind of neat to see, like an 80s Tommy Lee Jones... it was neat to see a John Carpenter screenplay that wasn't actually directed by John Carpenter.
I think that's the most interesting thing about this movie is that it has a smidge of that John Carpenter charm, but not enough. Not enough of magic. I made the observation that it often discards any potential for excitement and energy, because I remember we would see the build-up to a car chase and then cut to black. And when the movie resumes, the car chase is already over and Tommy Lee Jones has gotten away.
Well, car chases are expensive. Jameson. It costs money.
Gee, who would have thought in a movie about cars
film, so
and thieves?
The thing is, you got to work around that. You got to find ways to work around that. So
Your central plot is a movie about a supercar. You're not going to film a car chase with it? What the hell?
Did car chases at the end, but they needed to count their pennies. They needed to save. They needed to be frugal. It was the 80s, and they had to every cent counted on that screen.
Black Moon Rising was number 28 on my list, and I will not hear another good word about Black Moon Rising.
It's literally only 4. I only put it 4 higher than you, and you're acting like it's...
All right, let's go.
It's the Spanish Inquisition. All right.
No, I didn't really care for the movie. I didn't like how Tommy Lee Jones, you expect him to be a bit more of an ass kicker. He gets his ass handed to him a lot in the fight, or in the movie. And there's a part where you could see him about to foil a robbery, and he just talks the guy down. He's a really shitty thief. He's a very off-putting man.
Yeah. It's funny to see young Tommy Lee Jones because
still be an old man.
Even young Tommy Lee Jones looks like he's like 65. So yeah, he's aged interestingly. Let us say that.
All right.
Yeah. And we reviewed that movie because it was a Linda Hamilton movie. We haven't even mentioned Linda Hamilton in this recap, so that shows exactly the type of programming that I do on this show and thinking ahead. All right, number 23.
23. That's speaking of Linda Hamilton. For number 3, I have A Sunday Horse.
You have A Sunday Horse. Number 23. I think you're going to be upset with me. This is when I was putting this on my list. I'm like, I think Jameson is going to be upset that I've put this low.
Oh no.
Number 23 is Assault on Death Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How you doing? You all right? You catching your breath?
I'm fine. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but all right.
I was surprised that wasn't higher on my list, but the more I thought about it, I went back, I re-listened to parts of that episode. I think it originally was much higher on my list, and then I thought about it, I'm like, a lot of this is like residual goodwill from the first movie, which was just overall more entertaining than this one. This was like the first movie just had like a better supporting cast. This one, you really kind of felt like the budget creaking. It just wasn't as they were on they were on an island. They were on like an island paradise. That's just like a nicer setting for a cheap action movie than the mountains.
Yeah, Martin Kove had more of a role to play and more of a character to be.
In the first one or the second one?
In the first one.
I feel like I actually gave him more to do in the second one.
Where he's like the comedy relief, like he had a massive head injury.
They did give Derek more to do in the second one, so
That's true.
We did enjoy that.
Yep.
But it's not super low. I still enjoy. I think we're getting into the part of my list where it's all like, okay, these are all guilty pleasures now. So
it is a very guilty pleasure.
We're getting into the positives, I think.
You know what? Yeah. Like I'm sure Shadow Warrior's brother, as we call it.
Yes, if you're looking for that episode, it's under the title Shadow Warriors, brother.
I'm sure back in the day people would have echoed a lot of those sentiments and just like written it off as like, oh, this is like, what do you expect? It's a super cheesy made-for-TV movie starring Hulk Hogan, and I bought into it. I thought it was very quaint. It's from a bygone era, certainly.
Certainly is.
They don't
make them like that anymore.
Like your climax happens on the middle of Horseshoe Bay where someone's trying to break into a hovercraft. That's, I don't know. It's dumb fun. And
now I'm second guessing the placement. It's too late now.
Right? Okay. I'm
not gonna get an eraser out and move things around. That's gonna be
comparing it to say another straight to DVD actioner shot in the Pacific Northwest starring a wrestler is better than Recoil.
Yes, it is.
It's more memorable than Recoil.
And my list reflects that.
Yeah, it's got a nice tongue-in-cheek charm to it. Whatever. All right.
22.
I have this is where I have Billy Owens.
Billy. Whoa!
Yeah.
Okay, you need to explain that.
Oh, I think I did.
Did you?
Yeah. I thought the production of it was just absolutely fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are so many better made movies that are even like below this list, and yet I want to know more about Billy Owens, and I want to know more about the legacy of getting Rowdy Roddy Piper into it.
See, I think that's
it seems like a fucking scam that this movie got made.
Now
we're entering the point now where like I'm going to award points based on whether the movie made me laugh.
Sure. If it was maybe slightly better known, like I could see potentially like a documentary along the lines of like Best Worst Movie, which talks about like the making of Troll 2 and stuff like that. It's just I don't think that too many people have even heard of Billy Owens, so I don't know how well a documentary into it
Probably not well
There's
at
also
all.
a sequel that we have not talked about, nor
No,
nor
will we ever?
shall we?
No, I won't make you do
Nor
that.
we will not.
We won't need to do that.
My 22 is Python.
Python.
Which I thought was better than it had any right to be.
Agreed.
And it just had like a weirdly stacked cast of Z-level talent, and a lot of people having a lot of fun with it. Robert Englund's having fun, Casper Van Dien's having fun, William Zabka's having a good time.
You know what I think?
And you know what? I had a good time.
I had a good time. And you know what I think it is? I think it's because it's genuinely kind of funny.
Yep.
I think it elevates what would
Absolutely.
normally just be like a run-of-the-mill
A big snake.
big snake movie on the Sci-Fi Channel. No, the humor in it elevates it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, way better than it had any right to be.
Yeah, I mean that fucking real estate agent and that scene that he had with
Yep.
who was
Jenny
that?
McCarthy.
Yeah,
And the real estate agent was somebody too, I think.
he was he was like a Christopher Guest guy. I think
Yeah,
he looked at.
every like.
But those two guys in their scenes were fantastic,
Yeah.
and the real estate guy desperately needed to be in the movie more, and yet there's still a lot to fucking love about
just
this
like
movie.
yeah, that movie is
It's
just weirdly
hilarious.
full of ringers.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Weirdly,
All right.
that's one of our longer episodes because
Yeah,
you
it
kept
is.
like
We kept coming up with shit.
You kept pointing out all these like, oh my god, that
Well,
was
it
a
kept-
so and so.
it
Oh my
kept
god, that was
happening.
so and so.
That's the guy from the original Get Milk commercial.
Yeah, I was like, god damn it, Cass.
That's significant. Aaron Burr. Anyway, 21.
21. This is where I have grabbers.
Okay, this is where I have Tag Team,
Oh, okay.
which is the only movie we have covered that arguably is not a movie. It's a failed TV pilot,
That's
but
true.
we had fun, and I had fun watching it.
Yep.
And I think this has one of my this episode has one of my one of our best recent jokes that I think about it. It makes me laugh when we relate Jesse Ventura's love of grapes to that of Monterey Jack from Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
Because it's just funny to think of him levitating through the air, and there's like a purple line of smoke.
Yeah.
It's just like grapes, buddy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's
some good stuff.
You kept saying buddy during that. I don't think Jesse Ventura has ever said buddy.
No, but
to
it feels right, doesn't
All
it?
right.
Doesn't it feel right?
No.
I don't know.
No, I thought that movie was appropriately silly. I can certainly see why it never made it to series, but yeah, it was fun.
But what a loss.
Yeah.
What truly a loss.
It wasn't groundbreaking or anything, but ton of fun recounting that episode. And yeah, people should check out that pilot. It's free on YouTube. What
Still
the hell
on
not?
YouTube, and you know what? Got some good commercials.
Yeah.
Got some good.
I think we spent more time
era-specific
going over
commercials.
this 90s
We
era
sure did, buddy.
commercials.
You know what? Number 21 on my list, commercials. That's what it is.
Yeah, with the asterisks. 21A.
21.
All right.
What are you? The interstitial titles of Violet and Daisy? Oh, it's a deep cut. It's a deep cut for this franchise.
Let me guess. Who's at your number 20?
It's not that movie.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
it's not.
20 is where I have Pups Alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are different individuals.
Like I was telling you, man.
We're different people.
Doug
Although,
into me.
my number 20 is a Christmas movie.
This
My
is
number
where-
20 is Noel.
Noel, okay.
Such a weird movie.
So weird.
So weird. And the more it's one of those movies, the more I think about it, the more I'm all like, I might watch that again someday.
Oh, I
It's just
mean,
very strange.
Every
It's a
story,
very strange movie.
every storyline's a head scratcher. You know, like weird character motivations abound in that fucking movie.
Just a weird, uncredited Robin Williams. Just Paul.
Weirdly mean-spirited too.
Weirdly mean-spirited.
For a Christmas
yeah.
movie?
Yeah, very strange.
With,
yeah, there's
with
an
no
entire,
real uplifting
an
message at the
entire
end.
subplot about a guy who just wants to get his hand smashed. Yeah. What an odd film.
Yeah.
Directed by Chaz Palminteri. Just everything about it is bizarre. What all the weirdest choices were made in that.
Yep.
I kind of dug it. It's good counter programming for the Christmas season, I think.
I suppose. I don't know, do people to inoculate them on? I don't know. I put Noel pretty low because I'm calling it Noel because that's how it was in the titles.
No.
Yeah. No
L.
No L. No, it was very, very weird. It was a blast to fucking recount.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a fun episode.
Yeah.
All right, number 19.
19. That's where I have Tag Team.
Okay, this is where I have Formula 51, a.k.a. The 51st State, which is a movie that actually plays a little better in my head. I'm thinking back on it now. I'm all like, you know, sometimes you just want to watch a movie from 2002, and when you want to watch
As
a movie
hard
from
as that's going to be to watch. Yeah.
it's the most 2002 movie truly ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the soundtrack and the cinematography.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the editing bay was actually like a turntable.
Yeah. And I just like how we have this weird trend going on of covering movies about Americans in Britain doing crime.
Yeah.
We keep doing that for some reason. Maybe we'll try to stop, but...
Yeah, I mean, I thought the plot was quite hard to grasp from time to time, but you know what? The unpredictability of that movie kept me invested into that.
Meatloaf explodes.
Meatloaf explodes
and that
at
movie
the end.
ends with Meatloaf blowing up, so...
But on hindsight, I think one of the more fascinating things about that movie is important character development happens in a post-credits scene.
Yeah,
that's very weird.
That
to
I had
see in a
to tell
movie.
you because you couldn't run as soon as the credits popped up. Rightfully so. There was no reason to keep going.
Yeah,
but for some reason I let it run, and I was rewarded with
with Samuel Jackson's naked ass.
Except clearly not Samuel Jackson's actual naked ass.
Yeah, you know what that looks like.
That was a stand-in.
All right,
but
still, I mean, it was like our central character. We peel a little bit back more on this guy.
Yeah.
We learn more about him at the very start of the movie and at the very end of the movie.
And yet,
that middle hour,
somehow what
30
we
minutes
at the end ends up negating most of the movie that we watched.
Yeah.
Weird. All right, number 18.
18. This is where I have Blue Iguana.
Okay, and this is where I have Mackenzie's Island.
Okay.
Which I thought was asinine fun. It was just like a movie that should have annoyed me more, but it was just so stupid. It was just so stupid. I had so much fun with it.
It's very stupid.
It's incredibly stupid.
You know,
have you said yours yet? Is that to come?
You know what?
You put it higher than I have.
put it higher on there, probably against my better judgment, because I remember during the discussion I made the point that it was a little too stupid for me. You brought up the good point in that it's very similar to classic bad movies, Troll 2 and The Room, in that it finds new ways to be bad.
Yes.
Which is very true, and that's probably why it's a little higher on my list, because in hindsight, it's absolutely that.
Yeah.
That said, I had another epiphany. I'm just full of epiphanies on this.
Oh, my God.
Whenever I tell people about, say, The Room or Troll 2, and they'll say, oh, I tried to watch it, but I just couldn't make it through. I never quite got that before, but I think I get it now with Mackenzie's Island. If it's just a little too stupid and you can't make it through something like that, even for like an intentionally bad movie, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see that.
I think every once in a while we find a bad movie on this podcast that isn't appreciated on the same level as a Troll 2 or The Room or something like that. And I feel like Mackenzie's Island is a little...
It ought to be.
It's a diamond in the rough. A jewel in a shrunken head, one might say. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think this is a good, fun, bad movie that if you're looking for a movie for a bad movie night, yeah, you could definitely do worse than this.
True.
There's some wild stuff in it.
That's true.
A map on a turtle's back? Don't do that, by the way.
Grace Jones is just terrible in it.
Grace Jones is off the chain.
I will say, yeah, all that's true, and also I listed it higher on my list.
So there
for a
you
movie
go.
that I'm not even super high on.
Absolutely. So. I'm defending it more than you.
Yeah, that's true, and you like this movie.
All right, number 17.
Prom Night 3.
I have Drowning Mona. Somewhat of a Rosetta Stone episode for us, because this was an episode that we're still doing during The Fuck Is This, but it was kind of the first episode that we did where we were like, let's break down the filmography of DeVito, and then we'll talk about the early filmography of Nev Campbell and Bette Midler. And I feel like as I was editing that episode, I definitely had a moment where I'm like, what if this was the podcast?
Yeah.
What if we just did this?
It helped that there was a lot of prominent people to talk about.
So many people in that movie. That cast is just stacked.
Yeah.
Drowning Mona is just a really solid late 90s VHS rental, is what I said. This is the type of movie you'd bring home with a 2-liter of Coke and a pizza, and you'd watch it with the family. Yeah. And it would be a little bit naughty. So you'd be all like, I'm getting away with something.
Yeah, not enough to throw people, off the...
Yep, yeah. It's just a kind of a fun offbeat comedy with some good performances from most of the cast, and one of the worst Casey Affleck performances that he's ever given, which is really weird, because he's normally a pretty good actor.
Yeah. I just thought, it's fine. I expected more, given the cast and a somewhat interesting premise for mystery, especially a setting for a mystery where everyone just drove the same car, because that was a testing ground for the Yugo. So someone found that out, that little curio in the news, and thought I wonder if I can write a murder mystery around this.
DeVito's character has like a pun name in that too. I'm looking that up right now because I can't.
Oh
remember
yes,
what it is.
Wyatt Rash. White trash.
White trash, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's weirdly kind of the least white trashy character in
Yeah.
that movie. He's kind of like the one character that has any sort of empathy and decency.
Yeah.
It's weird that they named him White Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's strange.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting premise.
Yeah.
You know, great cast.
Have you said Johnny Moni yet?
No, that's high on my list.
That's high on your list. All right. Well, we're revealing things. All right, number 16.
That's where I have Terminal.
That's where you have Terminal. This is where I have Slipstream.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was a really fun disaster to watch play out. And I just thought that was wild, you know? Like, we just talked about, like, the context of that, of how that was Mark Hamill's follow-up to Return of the Jedi, and how he had, like, this weird 7-year period where he didn't do anything, and when he came back with a movie that literally bankrupted a studio. And a director has never worked again, and a producer has gone into hiding, and he lost all of his money.
It shattered so many lives.
Yeah.
This one.
And again, it's weirdly stacked, like weird minor supporting turns from Ben Kingsley and F. Murray Abraham. Yeah. It's like, what is everyone doing in this movie?
The guy who was responsible for that, he was like a producer on Star Wars.
He was
right?
the producer on Star Wars, and some other things.
Yeah, I mean, like, Slipstream's pretty low on my list, but I think the movie's biggest fault is that I think it tried to do a little too much.
It was very ambitious.
Yeah.
It set up this, like, sci-fi futuristic world that had all these rules and lore, but it didn't really explain it all that well.
I just wrote, incomprehensible mystery fantasy babble and themes ruins a nice hook for a dystopia movie.
Sure.
Yeah, I liked the idea of this airfaring society where everyone got around on airplanes and there's like these isolated bands of people, some of them who potentially could live in airships or giant dirigibles or, you know, have some floating islands because the entire ground itself is full of all these fissures and it's inhospitable. That's a nice enough setting.
It's very Japanese RPG adjacent.
Yeah.
You know.
So just keep all the fucking spiritual talk to a minimum or gut it completely because I think the bones were there for something a little more interesting.
Like, wasn't there a god, the wind? Like, they
No, there were
the wind.
There were wind cultists. And they decided people's fate by attaching them to kites.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Naturally.
And there was a robot butler who was a central character, and we didn't know if he was an angel or not.
He was like an android butler. A robot butler makes me think of like what Paulie had in Rocky IV.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this was like he was a human being. You couldn't tell that he was a robot.
No.
That was a reveal eventually.
Yeah. But no, the movie just kind of collapsed on itself.
Yeah. But I think it's a fun curio.
Yep.
All right, number 15.
This is where I have the D Train.
And this is where I have Prom Night 3, The Last Kiss. Which I found to be a less good Prom Night 2. But you know what? Let's move on with it. I thought it was a fun, cheesy little horror movie that's mostly a comedy. And it played like a pretty good, long episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And you know what? That's not too bad.
Nope. I got no real qualms with that. I thought it was fun visiting like this 80s slasher on the cheap. This poor man's Nightmare on Elm Street. I think we were really high on the idea that a reboot could benefit this franchise.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We were both like very high on the Mary Lou character.
Well,
as a recurring movie killer.
They have rebooted Prom Night, but like as I mentioned on that episode, Prom Night is a weird series where half of the entries are about like a killer escapes from an asylum and it's just a Friday the 13th ripoff. And then the other half are about the supernatural prom queen character. And it's like, reboot that.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part of that. Like, give me that.
Yeah, let's get like a young lady in a prom gown and a tiara, and she's got ghost powers, and she can possess people, or she can like make all these creepy, gross things happen in a classroom.
Exactly.
But other than that, you know, it's fine 80s slasher movies. They were better at the time. This was a Canadian movie, wasn't it?
This was a Canadian movie.
Yeah, it kind of shows.
Yes. It was directed by someone who co-wrote the Hallmark movie that I was in, that I did not realize until we started the episode.
Oops.
Number 14.
That's where I have Maggie. Even though I think it's any other list would be low on the list.
Yeah. This is where I have 11 Harrow House.
Okay.
At one point in time on my list, it was number 11. Mm-hmm. And then I thought of some movies that were better than it. I mean, like, I didn't really have much to say about 11 Harrow House. It's definitely totally a movie. It was shot and edited
on film,
and it was released and we watched it. There we talked about it.
And that's the nicest thing you can say about that.
So we had some good car chases at the end, you know. It had like a kind of interesting, if convoluted, jewel heist thing. It was just kind of it was weird to watch a nothing movie from the 70s because they are distinctly different from like a nothing movie from the 90s and the 2000s. Just had a different energy, sort of like a lackadaisical, hey, none of this really matters kind of thing. And, you know, I enjoyed the discussion, and I feel like that maybe influenced my viewing on the movie. But yeah, I didn't really have strong feelings about it one way or the other.
Well, I felt that Charles Grodin was very boring in that movie and very annoying to listen to.
Not a good... Yes, the narration is pretty terrible.
Yeah, I more often than not, I found myself getting taken out of that movie. I could have used a little bit more excitement. That car chase at the end, fantastic.
Yeah.
The actual heist itself, kind of dull. You know, with no real stakes getting thrown into it. They just shot a hose down the vault power cable, and they started vacuuming up the diamonds, and there was no real conflict with that. They kind of just pulled off a heist.
That's what you gotta do. Sometimes that's what you gotta do. Sometimes that's all you. That's real life. That's what they brought to this movie. They brought real life stakes. Yep.
Well, I like a little escapism in my movies.
More than fair.
Yeah, and charismatic characters, and not Charles Grodin bitching and complaining about how nobody respects him. Sorry, but that's carrying on to this day, Charles Grodin.
He's very dead. He's very dead. But I'll pass your remarks on to his next of kin. All right, number 13, because the more we talk about this, the more I'm realizing maybe it should be lower. Number 13. I think what's most revealing about this list is that maybe some of my choices, I'm double thinking them. But it's too late. I'm committing to it.
All right.
Committing to it on this episode.
All right.
Number 13.
Number 13, that's where I put Everyone's Hero. Everybody's Hero.
Everybody, the baseball movie.
The Babe Ruth baseball movie. The talking baseball.
The Babe Ruth baseball movie, Christopher Reeve. This is where I have Violet and Daisy.
Okay.
Which, again, is a movie that I felt pretty mid on, but it is as high up the list for really one reason and one reason only. Fucking James Gandolfini.
Yeah.
I do think that's one of the best overall performances that has been in a movie that we have talked about. I thought he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
In that, full stop, phenomenal. It's a good performance.
Yes.
And that movie is worth watching for him alone.
The notes I have on that, like, they don't even mention James Gandolfini because I have no problems with James Gandolfini.
Notes.
But I think that kind of highlights the difference between the way you and I approach films. You're more invested in the performance of an actor.
Sure.
I'm more invested into the story in general.
Yep.
Being the award-winning writer that I am.
Yep.
Yeah.
How is your Nobel?
Oh, it's
your Nobel Prize for Literature.
It's still in like my sock drawer. I haven't like built a case.
That's like the classic. That's where they all keep them. That's all like, I don't even want this thing. It's in my bathroom.
Yeah, it's a coaster. What did I say for Violet and Daisy? I just put down all setup and gimmicks with no payoff or clarity.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're not incorrect.
Okay. No, I thought, strange characters, those ladies. Strange plot in general, with it revealing things about who one of them was, but it didn't matter by the end.
I'm starting to realize a lot of
what happened with that fucking farmhouse dream sequence with the plane crashed into it. What did that matter into the fucking plot?
Well,
what is that meant to?
It's actually like really intense. I don't know. I'm not surprised that it went over your head.
Oh, okay.
Now, so like,
okay.
I don't know. I'm starting to realize that like some of like these middle to top, not my top 10. I'm feeling pretty good about my top 10,
okay.
But like everything underneath, I'm starting to feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of these were like gut choices for me. I'm just kind of like that and that one.
Like I was saying, I was really kind of straining for like, why am I putting this one over that one? Yeah. I have a feeling that like once we get to our top 5, there's going to be a lot of.
But the good news is that this list doesn't matter. It's one of the more pointless things we've ever done.
This whole podcast notwithstanding.
Indeed. All right, number 12.
Drowning Mona.
And this is where I have the D Train.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty fun comedy.
Yep.
A little offbeat, but like a really good James Marsden performance.
Mm-hmm.
There's some surprising depth from Jack Black as a complete narcissist who is absolutely losing his fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fun, dark comedy. I wish it went a little darker, but I thought it was an okay film.
Yep. It's flawed. I mean, you can drive a truck through some of these like logistical plot holes, right? Crap like, oh, why is he so high and mighty about getting this one guy who was in a commercial to come to his high school reunion? Why is he so gung-ho about this high school reunion in general? Why is he lying to his boss this way? Why is he keeping his wife in the dark this way? All that said, I thought it was a very fascinating exploration to Jack Black's reaction to the experience that he had with James Marsden. Not spoiling anything.
Not spoiling the big twist in that movie.
Yeah.
Even though if you listen to our episode, I spoiled the twist in the opening seconds of the podcast. Because that's how I roll.
Mm-hmm. But
why is the saying you can drive a truck through that pothole? You're not supposed to drive trucks through potholes. You're supposed to avoid them.
That's true.
Yeah. It's funny, they reverse engineered that saying.
Did I say pothole or plot hole?
Plot hole.
Okay.
But the idea is that, like the addition of the truck is meant to be
it's the idea that the plot hole is so large that you can drive a truck through it.
But if it was that large, surely the truck would fall into the plot hole.
I'm imagining it's like a tunnel where you can drive it.
We're finding plot holes in this setting, is what we're doing.
Yeah. Look, I like Jack Black in this movie, even though he's an unlikable character, and the reactions that he have to something like this, I thought it was worth exploring. Other than that, getting to that point in the movie, it raises a lot of eyebrows.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, number 11.
Number 11, that's where I have Mackenzie's Island. Again, hi.
Hi. This is where I have a movie that I clearly liked a lot better than you, and I know that I liked a lot better than our guest that we had on that episode. This is where I put DOA.
Okay.
Which I thought was sweaty and violent, just the way how I like it. I don't know. I really kind of enjoyed that booze-soaked mystery thriller. Oh, it's a murder mystery, and who got murdered? The protagonist, but he's not dead yet. But it's a ticking clock. I kind of dug it. I kind of liked it.
Thought it was a little pretentious. I thought it was interestingly shot. We talked about some of the fun cinematography that they were doing.
Yep.
With zooming in on the black and white chalkboard to transition out of the black and white opening, and then they're in the color. And I don't know. I found Dennis Quaid's character unlikable in that movie.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to like him. I think he's
but not
fundamentally a flawed protagonist.
Yes, but also
he's played by Dennis Quaid.
But also just like the way that he was written was like, oh, God, anyone could have played that and I would have hated it. I thought it was kind of fucked. I had a better way to put that, but I nursed a beer.
Kind of fucked, yeah. Oh, you mean like the weird sort of pseudo-incest subplot?
And how that took up the bulk of the fucking movie and didn't matter.
No, it turned out to not be a big deal at all. It wasn't.
It was a waste of time. It had nothing to do with who poisoned him.
It was a fun little red herring.
Yeah. Fun.
Okay.
You and I have different definitions of fun.
We are at our top 10, and there are definitely some titles that neither of us have mentioned.
That's
yet.
true.
So at this point in time, I'm aiming for one. We gotta get one where we match up.
I got a feeling we're gonna match up fairly soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So here we are. We're at our top 10. These are without a doubt. These are 10 movies that we like.
Well,
question mark?
I'll give you a heads up right now. We have talked about 3 of them already.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, I know we have. Yes. Okay.
So at number 10, I have Python.
At number 10, I have Shaolin versus Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
Which, honestly, would be higher on the list if not for the fact that it doesn't have an ending. It ends in
That's part of the charm, man.
It ends in the middle of an action scene. And then they recap it. It's like, and then they find the villain, and then the shit.
Yeah, but don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Here's some clips from the next movie. That maybe we should watch the sequel. Unless it's not as good. I
remember it not being as good, but I'd be down to check it out anyways. That annoying kid's not in the sequel.
I know, but he's kind of like the kid that swallows the ghost and then poops out a little egg child.
That's
who
right.
Follows him around.
Him. You got it.
That's a real movie. That's a movie right there.
There
folks.
is a lot of insane shit that happens in that movie that just It's a lot of fun. I had a blast watching that movie. And on top of that, it's got some good kung fu. It's got some great practical zombie effects that happen in it. Never took its foot off the gas pedal. I love that movie.
And some bad zombie effects that are going. And we just had like a lot of fun, like tearing apart like the logic of that movie. Like I remember one of the things we said on that episode was all the people in the village were going like, I can't believe he's using black magic. And I remember we were going like, his name is the Black Wizard. What are you talking about?
I just remember he brainwashed all their boys, so the good wizard came up with like paper mache kids to fight him, and then they've had the opening titles to Beast Wars as a battle.
Oh my god, that's right, yeah.
I fucking loved that movie.
Better Beast Wars adaptation than the Beast Wars adaptation.
Mm-hmm. All right,
number 9.
Number 9, this is where I have Blizzard.
And this is where I have a Sunday horse.
Okay.
Yes, it's quite high on my list. I was a little surprised by that.
That's fine. I mean, I don't think there's anything special, but I think it's got its heart in the right place.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I was a little charmed by this movie. It's a Christian movie, but it's not pushing anything on you.
Yeah.
They actually barely mention the religious aspect. They just kind of, the people are religious, and then they mention it, and then they move on with the damn story. It's just a story about a girl with a horse, and Ving Rhames has a finely tailored purple suit. And William Shatner gives one of his most subdued performances ever.
Showed up for a paycheck.
Indeed.
Yeah, gets to walk around with a hot blonde on his arm. Yeah, he'll be there.
That I think was the director's daughter?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that movie for not being preachy. And it also addressed some sensitive issues within the horse racing sport or competitive jumping sport. And it didn't really weigh in on them one way or the other, but it addressed them. It brought them up. It didn't gloss over the subject. And I just figured, okay, that's unexpected for, a movie of this type. Yeah, I'll say.
And it had a fun, mean girl villain who was possibly a racist, but we're not really sure. They didn't really delve into it too much, but I think we can assume that that's what was going on.
You know what this movie also had? Future subject of the podcast, Gary Grubbs. It was our first exposure to Gary Grubbs.
We got grubbed.
Who's now appeared twice on the show.
We got grubbed.
We got grubbed.
We got grubbed hard. All right, number 8.
Number 8. This is where I have Son of Dracula.
Wow. This is where I have Blue Iguana.
Okay, wow.
I really kind of like that movie. The more I thought about it after the episode was over, I'm all like, you know what? I think that's just a good, fun little crime caper. I'm really into Ben Schwartz.
Yeah,
I like him a lot. If he
then
shows
you're gonna
up
like this movie because he's Ben Schwartz doing his Ben Schwartz thing.
He's Schwartzing all over the place. Yeah, he's doing really good work. Sam Rockwell. That would be a very different movie. It was just Sam Elliott. Sam Rockwell is doing his thing. He's being Mr. Cool or whatever. And yeah, it's just full of these fun little. I forget the name of the villain, but I loved him.
Deacon.
I forget the Deacon, but I forget the name of the act. Oh, his name's like Peter Ferdinando. But yeah, what a great performance! What a fantastic villain performance. Yeah, he really kind of stole the movie from everyone.
He saved the movie for me, to be honest. He was the best part of the movie for me. I loved the pent up rage that he had, even though he was very ineffectual. But you never quite lost the sensation that this guy could snap at any moment,
and he does,
and kill the people who are laughing at him for being a fuck up. Yeah,
that was his whole deal.
Yeah. Overall, I thought the movie was a little sloppy. Didn't really quite gel for me for the most part. I didn't know what was going on with that comic book. It took a while for them to actually get.
To be perfectly honest, I forgot all about that until you just brought it up.
It
doesn't affect my rating, but that's an element I forgot about.
It took them a while to actually get around to talking about the Blue Diamond heist, and then it just kind of happens that some robbery or important event happens and it's not filmed. It's just a character relaying.
There's a couple of things that happen.
We're moving something up to make it. But
look, none of these movies are great.
No.
But it's based on how much I enjoyed them.
That's
true.
For
the reasons that I did.
Well, I enjoyed Blue Iguana slightly less.
Yes, but we both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, number 7.
7 is where I have final score.
Number 7 is where I have Midnight Ride.
Midnight Ride, okay.
Yes, Mark Hamill is a psychopath, and he's kidnapped a lady, and they're driving, and her ex-husband, who's maybe equally as bad as he is, but we're not really sure because the movie doesn't explain it all that much. Yeah. And we're driving around, and he's trying to catch him. And then in the last 10 minutes, Robert Mitchum shows up to monologue at the camera.
And then there's a fight in a hospital, and that turns into a quad chase in a hospital.
And then it breaks into like the electrical room with a big ass generator, and Mark Hamill ties Michael Dudikoff to the front of a car, and it's actually pretty badass.
Yes.
It's actually not too bad.
This is
just a good Canon Films release.
It's Canon at their absurd finest.
Yeah.
And I was all here for it. Yeah, I thought like the opening leg of the movie was like snicker a minute because I didn't know what the fuck was going on with that one cop with the fucking cast on his foot going after his weirdly Russian wife.
Yeah, that he ripped off after like 10 minutes. So
Yeah,
it's all
ripped
like,
off
I guess that leg was fine.
Yeah.
I guess that leg wasn't a problem.
And then the last half of the movie was super insane. Like from when he was tied to the hood of the car right to the end. Like I'm buying this fucking ticket. I'm taking this midnight ride.
That's right. All right, number 6.
6. This is where that's where I have Shadow Warriors.
Brother.
Number
6 is where I have Iron Mask.
Yep.
Our first nothing movies that we talked about. This is a movie that has dramatically improved in my memory after we recorded it. We just watched it, and it's just this crazy Russian movie set in the Orient.
It's fascinating.
And that also features, to date, the only on-screen pairing of Jackie Chan and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, no, wait, no, I forgot about the Around the World in 80 Days. But they do a kung fu fight in this one. And they're both quite old, but it's fun. It's a fun, weird movie.
Fun fantasy swashbuckler in the vein of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
It felt
the good one.
The good one. Yes, it felt very Pirates adjacent, and it's a movie that sells itself on Arnold and Jackie Chan, and then you watch it, and then they're like, oh, they're not really the main character. Jason Fleming's kind of the main character. And then you watch it and you're like, actually, Jason Fleming's not even the main character. It's this princess is the protagonist of this movie. Very strange. Very strange plotting of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a knock against the movie at all.
No,
I think
interesting.
It actually like adds to this weird ensemble. I wrote that it is at war with itself given the background info.
Totally.
Because it's a sequel to that Jason Fleming movie.
It's a sequel to a movie called V, which is based on a Russian folklore monster.
Yeah.
Who is like a minor antagonist of the first movie, and yet this sequel is in Russia it's called V2, even though V is not a character. And then they just
the main character from the first one is set aside for the Russian prince, who's the guy in the actual Iron Mask, who goes along in this adventure. But the real story is about this exiled princess that's in this hidden village in China.
Spoiler: the Iron Mask character is really not that important, even though the movie is called Iron Mask. I guess because ultimately they realized, well, we gotta call it something. We gotta settle on some title.
And the end of the movie is the budding friendship of Arnie and Jackie Chan.
Exactly. That was
who were in the movie the entire time.
The real treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Exactly. No, I thought this movie is crazy.
It's crazy fun.
But it's crazy fun.
Indeed.
That's the ringing endorsement. That's the whole quote from Nothing Movies.
Number 5.
That's where I have Iron Mask. I was just one below you.
Just one. That's the closest we have come so far. I feel like it. Number 5 for me. I'm quite surprised that I put this as high up on my list as I did. Number 5 is Blizzard.
Oh, yes.
A charming little Christmas movie directed by LeVar Burton about a little girl who just wanted to figure skate and her magical reindeer friend. And it's just a movie that just melted my cynical heart because I just watched it and I just remember thinking it's all like, there's nothing wrong with this.
This is nice,
It's just a nice movie.
Yeah.
We rarely get to watch nice movies on this show.
I mean,
so it was kind of taken aback when I'm like, and there's still some weird shit in it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But like, kind of.
But not enough to drag the movie down or to warrant, like to really just tear it a new one. No, it's just a silly kids movie, but it holds up.
Christopher
quite well.
Plummer is doing more work than is necessary at all to play Santa Claus. He did not sleepwalk through that. He gave a fully three-dimensional performance as Saint Nicholas.
And it's very easy to get invested into those characters because you recognize some of the tropes, like, oh, there's the mean rival girl.
Yeah.
And then you find out, oh, she's got an awful home life. And then, she falls through the ice and like your heart weeps for her. And it's like, oh my God, save her, Blizzard.
Yeah.
No, emotional roller coaster, that movie that fired on all cylinders.
Kind of a low-key charmer. That's also a little bit
Charming's
weird.
the right word for that movie.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That ending was fucking stupid, though, where it was revealed that the aunt was... Oh, spoiler alert.
The aunt was the little girl the entire time.
They just changed the name around and
exactly.
The hokiest, shoehorned...
Sometimes people have middle names. We're down to our final four.
Yeah.
The options of us getting one of these right are... I can already tell you 2 of them are not going to line up. So
absolutely,
really, really, we're down to 2.
You've mentioned some of my top 3 already, and I'm just like... Well, there's only one left that I think we might have a match on here.
We'll see. We'll see how we do. Okay, what's your number 4?
Number 4 is Kung Fu Chefs.
Yep, we're not going to get that one.
Oh, no!
Because my number 4 is Final Score.
Okay, wow, that's a lot higher than I thought you were going to...
I like that movie. That was a good action movie, and you know what? It was helped by the fact that was a last-minute replacement for another movie where if we were ranking Bushwick, I can tell you what, that would have been lower. That would have been lower on my list.
Yeah.
But Final Score was just like a kick-ass, straight-to-DVD action movie along the same lines as previous favorite No Contest.
Yep.
You know, it's just a good rock'em sock'em, very surprisingly violent action movie.
Yeah.
There's a great fight between Dave Bautista and the biggest fucking person on the planet. In a kitchen, and there's you better believe there's a deep fryer involved.
Yeah.
And several knives. I just thought it was kick ass.
It kicked a ton of ass,
Yeah.
and it was plot wise very reliable meat and potatoes kind of action movie. It's another one of those Die Hard ripoffs where it's Die Hard but as far as Die Hard ripoffs go, very solid. The only reason that if you were to ask me and you haven't, but if I would prefer it over No Contest, No Contest still takes the cake because it's a better story, I think, in general, and Shannon Tweed does it better as the action lead.
You might even say it's
No Contest.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed, yes.
And this one's a little too polished. That said,
sure, yeah.
there's so much to love in this. Great action, good set piece. Fucking loved seeing them still carrying on the soccer game, even though they're under terrorist
This
lockdown.
game cannot stop. Exactly.
Half the stadium's on fire, and
that was before the terrorism happened. Half the stadium's just on fire.
Yeah.
Because I guess that's how they watch football in that part of the world.
Somehow.
And I loved how it was literally England versus this fictional Russian country, Soviet country.
It was Sokovia.
It was Sokovia.
It was legit MCU Age of Ultron.
Literally Sokovia.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
And they got Pierce Brosnan in for a day to do a monologue about chickens.
Yeah. And R.I.P. Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
That was a good time for him to drop that in. I know. Yeah. Okay. All right. Number 3.
Number 3 is where I have Midnight Ride.
And number 3 is where I have Kung Fu Chefs.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Just I love a good weird foreign movie.
Oh,
particularly if there's, martial arts involved. And I also love cooking competitions.
Yeah.
So this had a lot of, there's some good looking food in this. There's also some weird ass looking food in this, but, different cultures and whatnot.
Oh, sure.
I love a good Sammo Hung picture, and this was just a wacky little flick.
A lot of fun, because it's a silly kung fu comedy. Not so much in the vein of a Kung Fu Hustle or what have you. But it's funny that you mentioned it's nice seeing a kung fu movie, and it's nice to bring together a cooking movie. There were some scenes where I thought those two segments are edited together because there are events that are happening at the same time. They're not fighting in the kitchen. There's a fight happening adjacent from the cooking competitions, and yet it's weird to see them combined like that in an action scene. And yeah, you're watching 2 high-stakes moments happening concurrently, and I love that.
I mean, they have parallels.
Mm-hmm.
They both use knives.
Yep.
So you can do lots of editing that way.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a fun, over-the-top premise. There is some wonky CGI, but who fucking cares?
Isn't there a Steven Seagal movie where he's a chef?
He plays a Navy chef in Under Siege.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Is there a lot of cooking-based fighting in that? Does he have a scene where he's in the middle of preparing an amuse-bouche, and then all of a sudden Gary Busey breaks in?
I'm sure he throws grease on someone and hits
throws
someone with a frying pan.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So Jameson, what you say next for your number 2 will more or less determine whether or not. Like we are now at the point.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact that we don't have the same number 2. The only thing left that we could get correct would be our number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So what you say next will determine whether
or not we're friends or not.
We
after
have like a big old goose egg on this list, or if we got the only one that matters.
Yeah. I'm just going through my list right now, and it's like, what hasn't Kaz mentioned?
Yeah.
What have I forgotten here? Okay. My number 2, we already talked about it, Shaolin versus Evil Dead.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2, and we won't reveal it, but I can let you know, our number 1's matched.
Thank God.
It's the only one.
I thought
we
for
got
sure.
through this entire fucking list.
Yeah.
And the only
Stuck that landing.
The only one we lined up on
see eye to eye
was
on.
number 1.
Thank
So
God.
we're not there yet. Let me talk
Thank
about
God.
my number 2.
Okay.
Because my number 2 is quite low down your list, and in keeping with the rhyming convention, the inadvertent rhyming convention where I had final score at number 4, my number 2
is Skidoo.
Why? That movie is up my alley, man. That is
no.
my type of weird, man.
Oh,
I
man.
now own that movie on DVD, and I am so happy I do, because I'm going to watch that movie every couple of years.
Come on, man.
It's
Why?
just sheer, like,
Lunacy.
60s acid-inspired lunacy with, like, a bunch of, like, half of the plot
Made
of that
by
movie,
men older than the target demographic.
half of that movie is just Jackie Gleason doing acid in prison. It's so weird. It's such a weird movie.
I mean, to his credit, him dropping acid and as being Jackie Gleason, he does play it, somewhat straight. He's not doing the classic hamana.
He's not having a good time.
No.
That's the thing about Jackie Gleason's acid trip in this ribald comedy. He has a bad trip. He doesn't enjoy himself. But yeah, there's just so many weird things about that movie. It was the last movie Groucho Marx ever shot, and they kind of had to strong arm him into doing that.
Oh, I'm sure he feels it was worth it.
It has like an utterly terrifying Carol Channing performance. I'm sure she was a lovely person.
Unnerving.
But she's just a very unnerving presence in that movie. It
leaves an impression, I'll give you that.
It has like my favorite side character of the guy that he meets in prison, where he's just casually just all like, yeah, I like raped like 10 women. And he's meant to be like this wacky comedic character. And then the thing that really put it over the edge for me are the ending credits that are sung entirely by Harry Nilsson. And I like everyone who worked on the movie gets included in this song, from like the best boy Grip to like the caterers and whatever. And he does an entire song. And I thought it was fucking great. I really loved this movie. And like, you're shaking your head at me, but it doesn't matter, Jameson. Because you know why?
Because we matched up on number 1.
We're gonna say our number 1
okay.
at the same time, and I love that this is how this played out.
I'm very happy that
every option was different except
for number 1,
the most obvious number 1 choice, and it was always my number 1.
It had to be. What else could
it have been?
Yeah.
Number 1.
Ginger Clown. Oh my!
What else could it be?
Instant classic.
Truly, what else could it be?
Instant fucking classic. Like,
one of the most enjoyable experiences I have had watching a movie with you.
Yes.
That was us discovering a Troll 2. That was us discovering a room. That was us discovering a new trash classic. This scattershot Hungarian horror movie
full of goofy puppets, and that don't really interact with our main characters. Our characters
barely
find
interact.
ways to get around them.
Voiced by Z-level celebrities, and then also Tim Curry.
Tim Curry's back as a scary
clown, but not that one.
And he's not killing anybody, and
he's trying. He's not doing a very good job.
He doesn't make a lick of sense half the time.
He says the same jokes like more than once.
Yeah, like just, I mean, there's obviously some like lost in translation there between like the original Hungarian getting transferred over to English. And yet, like, who thought of all this? Why is this scary to this one man? It has to have been like intentional.
Yeah,
it has to have tried to have made another Troll 2.
Like he gets like these recognizable like actors in here just for the voiceover roles. So like all of like these people like Brad Dourif and Michael Wincott, Lance Henriksen.
Yeah.
And they just clearly...
Sean Young.
Sean
Young's
Young.
out of retirement for this fucking movie.
out of retirement to voice a Spider Lady.
Yeah, and she drops the line, I shit my pants.
I shit my pants, and then her head explodes.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and then like, Brad Dourif is clearly just improvising because he's just like swearing at this sentient beach ball for no real reason. I'm a fucking teapot, asshole. Like, oh god, I love thinking about this. And you know what, Jameson, we actually are slightly incorrect.
Oh,
because there actually is one thing slightly better than Ginger Clown. Do you know what it is?
Don't say it.
Pussy!
Oh, okay.
Why? What did you think I was going to say?
There's going to be a Ginger Clown too.
No, there's not Ginger Clown too. No.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
It wouldn't be as good. They wouldn't be able to capture the magic.
one of our favorite fucking movie characters, the bully. The meme who's... Jesus Christ, his delivery.
That line delivery was the tipping point where I think both of us realized at the same time,
we're in for a treat here.
Special.
I hope this guy's in it for the whole movie. And
he's in it for most of it.
Our prayers were answered. This was an absolute delight. I hadn't laughed at something like that in such a long time. This was such a fucking find. And I'm surprised no other movie review podcasts have taken a look at it.
I feel like we've cornered the market on the Ginger Clown discourse. I don't think anyone's talked about this movie. I don't think anyone knows this movie exists.
Yeah.
And that's where we're aiming for this podcast. We're trying to talk about movies that no one knows exist.
You know what I think it is? I think it's because that one poster on like Apple TV or whatever made it very much look like the Asylum version of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie. It's a very misleading poster.
Yeah.
I can see why people didn't take a look at this, but holy shit,
some posters are trying to ape on the Joker. Others are clearly trying to ape on it. Mm-hmm. Like the clown. The clown does not look on the poster like he looks in the movie. He barely looks like a clown.
No.
It's just kind of like a standard goofy monster guy with a red
glowing
nose.
eyes and weird fish
Lots
fins.
of chains.
Lots of chains,
I don't understand the chains.
Yeah.
But,
no, fucking hilarious movie. All takes place and it has that weird-ass like metalcore rap over the end credits. So.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff all around.
Highly recommend
for
your next bad movie. Nice.
Let's watch it now.
Should watch it again.
I own that movie.
Hey, good man.
I'm very happy.
Yeah. Everyone should own that fucking movie.
That's $5 well spent. I'll tell you that much. I can't believe we only got one. And the one that we got was number one.
That's a little
crazy.
Strange.
That's a little... But hey, I think it just really showcases our differences.
It does, and we should be celebrating our differences.
We should celebrate our differences because it's what makes us unique.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
I'm very happy that at least some of the ones where we didn't entirely match up in like the top 10, they are at least in the top 10. You know,
sure.
I would probably be like, so you really didn't like Shaolin versus Evil Dead, huh?
No, most of our top 10 are pretty roughly the same. There was nothing in your top 10 that made me go, huh?
Yeah,
there was one in my top 10 that made you raise your eyebrow pretty high.
Yeah, but we've gone over that, and the less said about it, the better. And you know, we're all entitled to our opinion, right?
Indeed.
Well, we did it.
We did it, and we did it much faster than the last time.
Surprisingly so.
Did this.
I didn't think we'd be able to pull it off, but then again, I also didn't think we'd ever get to 100 episodes.
I also haven't checked the timestamp for this, but I know we haven't been here that long.
That's true.
So yes, we've only been. This is our standard 2 hours.
Yeah, but that was the last 50 movies that we covered on this show.
What are we gonna do next?
I don't know.
Jameson.
Well, before we do that, let me just say honorable mentions to all the movies that we have watched and maybe even recorded episodes for, but we'll never release. American Breakdown, The Howling 3.
The aforementioned Bushwick.
What was that other?
The Howling 3. If
Christmas in Wonderland.
If we haven't said it before on the podcast, The Howling 3 is my biggest regret because we just the audio just got corrupted for that, but like we had such a great
that
talk.
That would have been such a funny episode.
We really have to try and re-record some episode with our guest on that who is out of town and can only do a Zoom recording because he's not in British Columbia. But we got to get him back because that was so fun, and I'm just really sorry we weren't able to release that in any way. But we will try to make up for that eventually.
But yeah, that's all I want to get out there.
Do? Did we talk about all the ones we haven't released?
Christmas in Wonderland. We didn't even record that one.
We didn't even record that one.
Yeah.
That might be a stay tuned.
Yeah.
We've been saying that's a stay tuned for a while. That's just a hard movie to source. It's just a hard movie to find. So.
Yeah, I think the only option is to buy it on DVD.
Is to buy it or get a VPN, which is what we did last time, and it's just like a whole process.
We'll probably never revisit Bushwick. probably never revisit American Breakdown.
It was a little too depressing.
Yeah.
Part of me is disappointed we couldn't get a handle on American Breakdown, because I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
American Breakdown was a series of 6 short films that all got lumped onto a DVD together, and the DVD box art made you think it was a movie that starred Steve Carell, Josh Hartnett, Paul Walker, James Gandolfini, and Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
And then it just turned out, no, they're all in different movies that have no connection to each other at all. There's no overarching theme or anything, but some of them are comedies, some of them are bad, some of them are awful. Yeah. Some of them are unwatchable.
But hey, that's the nature of our fucking podcast.
Indeed.
And as we've just listed on our 50, it's a mixed bag that you're going to get with this show.
That's right. All right. So coming up, you got a vacation coming up.
I got a vacation on Wednesday. So
on Wednesday,
as of this recording,
so
2 sleeps.
So this episode is gonna come out after you are back from your vacation.
More than likely, yeah.
And then it's like we're into August.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost wondering, should we just start planning for Halloween? How early is it? Is it too early to start planning for Halloween?
I mean,
question.
It's never
none too early.
I already know what I'm going to do for Halloween this year.
I meant like the 2 months of Halloween spectacular. Yes. No, it's probably so the next episode you hear
might be a Halloween one.
It might be a Halloween one. It might be a quickie. It might be, I don't know. We might find the time to just get together with the two of us and just
record a quick thing.
Record a quick thing. But yeah, man, it's exciting because I don't know what we're talking about next. So what actor will we spotlight next? We got some ideas?
I got an idea for a Halloween one, but I'll tell you that off
Yeah, no
mic.
spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, but there we go. And, thank you for coming along for the ride.
Thanks for joining us on this look back, this retrospective, this filler episode.
If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, hey, you know what? Sometimes you need filler because if you don't, then your lips are all saggy and you can't find a husband on Rodero Drive. I don't know.
Well said, Cass.
But, thank you for coming along with this trip. We hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. And it was certainly fun. And, if you want to follow us, we're on all of the social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all of that good stuff. If you're listening to this on Spotify, check us out over on YouTube, where Jameson includes all of these visual images and whatnot. Yeah, we'd like to thank Joel Flynn and Luke Schuss and everybody at Podstream Studios. We'd like to thank Eddie Lamb for his fantastic theme music. And thank you, listener.
Thank you for joining us on this and for
following us along and
your continued listenership.
And follow me on Letterboxd, which I'm going to say every episode.
Okay.
I want followers.
And find my shit on YouTube.
And find his shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
And follow us in real life. Follow us home.
Don't stalk us though. That's not nice. That's a crime.
Don't stalk us. Just follow us. Indeed. Yeah. Don't stalk.
Don't stalk us. Follow.
It's like
justify it however you want.
It's like casual is the thing. Following is casual. Stalking is when you make it like a hobby.
Yeah.
But anyway, for Nothing Movies, I'm Kaz.
I'm Jameson, and I didn't really pick
No, it's kind of impossible.
Well, in the immortal words of Ginger Clown,
Pussy?
Quack, quack, quacker, I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker.
And I'm a fucking teapot.
Good night, everybody.